So welcome back guys, today we are going to see, what if Werewolf Bella imprinted on Alice Cullen. Before that our more than 50% viewers haven't subscribed our channel yet, so do it now. We are so close to 1000 subscribers, so let's back onto story. I glare out over First Beach, the familiarity of the blue-gray churning waves and overcast sky doing little to calm my irritation. If anything, it seems to make my blood boil even more, thinking back on all the times I have been here, played here, laughed here with my brother and sister. They're not really related to me. At least no more than the rest of the people on the reservation, but they might as well be. My father was Charlie Black, and he fell in love with a girl that hated this rainy, dreary town. They got married. He changed his last name to Swan, and they had me. I don't remember either of them. Mom left just after I turned 1, unable to stay a second longer in this constantly overcast state. And Dad refused to give me up. When I was 4, Dad was killed in an accident, the same one that put his brother, Billy Black, in a wheelchair. It was this reason that I went to his best friend, Harry Clearwater, instead of his brother, because he already had 2 daughters and a 2-year-old son to care for. Harry and Sue have been nothing but kind to me. They are the only parents that I remember ever having. And I grew up with their kids, Leah and Seth, as if they were my own siblings. We were the closest of friends, along with Jake and Embry and Quill. And then a few months ago, everything changed. All because of him, Sam. He had to go and break Leah's heart, and being the good best friend and sister I am, I hated Sam with a passion, cursed his name from the cliff tops as she cried into my shoulder. That he left her for her cousin, our cousin, Emily. Jacob, my sweet, clumsy, lovable puppy of a friend, went through a growth spurt, cut off all his beautiful hair that he took so much pride in, and started hanging out with him. Sam. It all goes back to stupid, arrogant, self-righteous Sam Yulee. Because after Quill, then Embry, then Jacob went over to the dark side, Leah followed a few weeks later. Now she hangs out with him all the time, gets angry when I talk badly about him, keeps secrets from me with him. Every night, I wake up in our shared room to find her missing from her bed. Having snuck out the window to see him most likely. I'm almost certain that he's dealing drugs, or in some sort of gang, but every time I bring my worries to Harry, or Billy, they just wave it off. Sam Yulee is some kind of god to the Quileute elders, and I'm getting fed up with it. Now I'm getting growing pains and having these weird hot flashes with a constant fever, and I'm just really irritable. Because Sam Yulee is looking at me like I'm next, but I refuse to let him sway me in any way. I chuck a rock as hard as I can at the water, and it sails far out before sinking with a soft plop. Hey, Seth says sullenly, feeling the absence of his sister as much as me. I feel my face soften at the 13-year-old boy as he makes his way down from the path, and sling my arm across his shoulders. Don't worry Seth, you still got me, and Leah will come back, you'll see. My pale skin is stark against his tan, a clear label of my half-heritage. It's often joked that I'm a cold one, from all the local legends and myths. It doesn't seem to have its humor anymore though, as Leah, or Jake, or any of my old friends would scowl and hiss at the mention of it, if they are around. I just want to know what the big secret is. Seth's howl is almost comical, but I don't smile. I want to know just as much as he does, though my mind still goes back to steroids. The dark sky becomes even darker as the sun sets behind the clouds, and I sigh, turning away from the sea. Let's go home, I say, dropping my arm from his shoulder and leading him up the familiar beaten path that leads straight to the road home. As he walks beside me, I have the urge to take his hand and hold it, like we did when we were little, but Leah isn't on his other side like she normally is. And Seth hand claimed it, not cool, a few years back. I sigh again, closing my eyes and letting my feet instinctively carry me in the direction I need to go, a soft breeze carrying my hair and letting the cool mist of rain wash away my sizzling anger until it's non-existent. A hand slips into mine, making me jump in surprise, and I look down to see my little brother looking off into the trees and anywhere but at me. My face once again softens, and I tighten my hold. Maybe he needed the comfort as much as I did right now, so I don't make fun of him or tease him about it, and just walk home in silence. I wake up burning and sweating and short of breath. My body feels odd and unnatural and my muscles twitch uncontrollably. I rip the covers off me and sit up fast, watching the world tilt and spin and twist. But I can clearly see a foot disappearing out the window. Despite my sudden sickness, a blinding rage burns through me, momentarily clearing my mind enough to follow my sister right out the window. My feet hit the cool grass as Leah is just about to disappear into the woods, and my feet carry me furiously after her in my PJs and no shoes. I'm ending this now, and one way or another. I'm going to find out what's going on. Leah, I call, storming after her when she pauses and turns to me, eyes widening. I don't know what I'm going to do or say, but I definitely don't expect my fist to connect with her face. What's wrong with you? I growl at her, not letting myself be stunned by my violent actions. I'm not a violent person and who just goes around punching people. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? She says, eyes narrowing and her arms start to tremble like they do every time we have argued recently. My heart pounds fast and loudly in my ears, like a war drum. And an unfamiliar ache spreads through my bones. I thought you hated Sam, and now you're hanging out with him. You're ditching me and our little brother for a guy that you hated. My own arms are shaking terribly. And my breaths are coming in sharp gasps, but rage is burning in my veins. Leah's eyes rove my body cautiously as she holds out her hands in a surrender kind of way. Bella, you need to calm down before you hurt someone. With her saying those words, everything inside of me seems to explode outward with a shredding sound in my ears. What the hell? The whole forest seems to be different, everything so much smaller than before, and the smells, sounds, feel of it is stronger and different. I can feel blood drain from my face as I watch Leah, my very real sister, explode into a huge-ass wolf. She stares at me with large brown eyes. I blink dumbly at her, my previous anger completely vanished as my mind had gone blank. Bella, she asks hesitantly, tentatively, as if to a wounded animal. Only, she says it in my mind, not out loud. Other voices are there too, as I stand with locked legs, stock still, yelling happy greetings until an older man with a once anger-inducing voice commands them all to be silent. All the voices immediately stop talking. A large black wolf steps out of the trees along with several other various colored ones. Bella, Sam asks me mentally. Sev. Long minutes of staring pass before my mind explodes in thoughts. So cool, the legends are all true, aren't they? Wow, oh wow, am I barking? I'm a wolf too. So cool. My mind reels as I notice that all that is coming out of me is yips. And I turn in a circle to better look at myself. I catch sight of a long red brow, black tail, kind of looking like a long-haired red wolf, before tripping over new feet and getting a nose full of moss and dirt. Barks of laughter come from the other wolves as I slump unsteadily back to my awkward feet. I can feel my face burn and I'm incredibly thankful that I have fur to cover it up. Excitement, though, quickly replaces any embarrassment I might have felt. Growing up, the stories of our tribe fascinated me. I loved the idea of supernatural things in the world, and now to be in it. So cool, I repeat mentally. The gray wolf form of Leah dips her head, ears pressed back. So you're not mad at me anymore? Oh, I'm still pissed at you for not telling me. But wait till Seth finds out, he's going to be so jealous, I say cheerfully, immediately thinking up ways to scare him senseless by jumping out of the trees at him. The large black wolf that I know to be Sam steps forward and walks in a circle, studying me. You can't tell him. You can't tell anyone. Like hell, I growl. You might not be the big bad drug dealer I thought you to be, but you still broke my sister's heart. And you're not going to tell me what I can and can't do. A few of the wolves, that I pick out to be Quill and Embry, snicker. Leah steps forward, touching her nose to my forehead. Even as a wolf, she is a considerable amount taller than me, but I have a feeling that I'll grow more in these next few weeks. It's not his fault, Bella, she tells me. He imprinted on her. Imprinted. All the stories are true. Yes. Well, fine, I can't hate you, but I'm still telling Seth. I promised that I wouldn't leave him and I'm not about to go back on it. A big russet-colored wolf, that I pick out to be my Jacob, shifts on his paws. If Sam tells you to do something in his alpha voice, you have no choice but to listen. Fine, I huff. We'll talk about this later. Now how do I shift back? I ask, blanking out my mind because I have a feeling that they would be able to hear all my thoughts. Jake's body seems to ripple before he steps out from behind some of the wolves, human, and very much naked. Ah, man. My innocent virgin eyes, I don't need to see that. I clamp my eyes shut, shaking my head furiously to shake loose the images of my cousin in his birthday suit. Ah, the horror, this is why I'm gay. I freeze at that thought, realizing what I had just admitted to. I glance fearfully at the other wolves and they all seem amused more than anything. I suspected, Leah says, her lips twitch. Ingen pulling back into a scary-looking attempt at a grin. No need to get all shy, I'm cool with it. I send my gratitude to her through my thoughts and she just nods. Right bells, Jacob says, and thank God he at least put some shorts on. When you shift back, you're going to be naked, so I have a large shirt for you. My mortification is back tenfold at the prospect of being naked in front of all these guys. And Leah gives me sympathetic looks. Oh, the poor girl, she must be so relieved not to be the only female in the pack. Her eyes express just how right I am. Alright, what you have to is focus on how you were before the change, what it felt like to stand on 2 feet, how different it felt to not have fur. I nod and close my eyes, taking a deep breath to do as he says. I focus on how the grass felt cooler on my feet just an hour ago as I chased after my sister, how different moving was when I was human, and how everything was so much bigger when I wasn't towering over it. Eating soft and smelling heavily of my cousin is dropped on my head, and I immediately rip it off to slide the shirt over my naked body. I tug at its hem, wishing it were longer and went farther past my thighs. Well, thanks, bye. I say, making a mad dash for my bedroom window, easily hefting myself up the tree and slipping into the room before they could so much as blink or figure out what I was going to do. I swing my door open, not even bothering to be quiet, and swing open the door across from me, ripping the blankets off the sleeping form of my little brother. Seth, wake up, I say, roughly shaking his shoulder. He springs up instantly, eyes wide and alert, and looking at me like I've lost my rocker. Seth, the legends are true. Sam's gang, they're werewolves. Seth, it's all true. It's a wolf pack, and I just changed and now I'm one too. You're crazy. He mumbles, rubbing his eyes groggily now that he knows that the house isn't on fire. But it's true and I had to tell you, BEF. Or Sam commanded me not to, cause then I wouldn't be able to keep my promise. He studies me for long moments. You're serious, he says. At my nod, excitement sparks in his eyes. That is so cool, you turned into a wolf. Can I see? What do you look like? I chuckle at his easy believing, but shake my head. Not right now, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for telling you. His mouth opens and closes. But I'm not going to be able to sleep now. He complains as I make my way to the door. I chuckle at him and give a slight wave. Good night, Seth. I close the door quietly behind me, muffling his complaints, and sheepishly open the door to my own room. Like I suspected, Sam is standing there with arms crossed and anger shining in his dark eyes. Leah is a little ways behind him, and gives me an inconspicuous thumbs up. The only thing I can think to say to get out of this is, I'm telling Dad you have a naked boy in our room. Her lips twitch madly and I have to quickly smother my own snickers at Sam's unamused expression. What? I ask innocently. You didn't give me to command yet to not to. It's all very legit. Sam sighs frustratedly and runs his hands through his short, prickly hair. You're going to be an even more handful than Leah, aren't you? He asks in a resigned kind of way. At my wide grin, he huffs. I should have known as soon as I saw your reaction to all this. No one had accepted it that easily. You can't just make this easy. I have never made anything easy for anyone. I won't start for you. He sighs again. Come over to Emily's in the morning, and we'll explain things more for you. For now, get some sleep, I guess. I grin widely at Leah as he disappears out the opened window. It has been 2 months since my first phase and everything is just perfect. I have my friends back. And Seth is happy again. School started a week ago, and I'm a freaking werewolf. Best birthday present ever. I shovel the last of the food on my plate into my mouth and immediately reach of fourths. Knowing that if I don't stuff myself as fast as possible, it will all be gone before I can blink. Seth looks on with a strip of bacon hanging from his gaping mouth, only halfway through with his first plate. I give him a wolfish grin as I stack my plate with 6 more pancakes and dump half a bottle of syrup on them. Hey, Save some for the rest of us, Jacob says, snatching the bottle away from me before I can use it all. Where do you put all that? Seth asks, wide eyes taking in all the guys stuffing their faces with more and more food that can feed a family of 4 comfortably for a week. Emily leans against a counter with her own small plate, an affectionate smile curving her lips as she looks down at us. Wolf metabolism, shorty, I say, grinning smugly as I once again finish my plate in record time. Feeling effectively full, I push my plate away with a sigh and glance around. Someone hand me the orange juice. I say, and Paul snatches the carton up, draining it while smirking at me. A snarl pulls my lips back as he tosses me the empty container. Here you go, Bella, Emily says kindly, handing me a fresh jug straight out of the refrigerator. I chug several gulps until Leah, laughing as quite a bit slops down my front, steals it from me. I kick out her chair, but she catches herself, snarling playfully as she leaps to her feet. I'm on my own feet before I know it and growling a challenge. Her eyes glimmer eagerly at the prospect of a fight. Take it outside, Sam commands, trotting down the stairs and giving Emily a loving kiss that makes most of us cringe. Remembering his memories that sometimes slip out when we are wolf. I'm coming too, Jake says, eagerly jumping to his feet along with Paul. We had all been antsy lately with the smell of leeches in our territory. And everyone has been dying to blow off some steam. Oh, I want to watch, Seth says, excitedly leaping to his feet, but is quickly pushed back down by Jared. He pouts his half. The table stands and starts rushing through the back door with Emily calling after us, don't you dare be late for school. I huff dejectedly, staring pitifully out the window as the teacher drones on and on. Usually, I like school well enough, but this lesson just seems to be dragging on longer than normal, and it's all a review that has me bored out of my mind. My muscles burn, aching to go run or roll around in the dirt, anything to stretch my legs. The bell, at long last, rings and I spring to my feet for lunch. My stomach had been rumbling for the past 20 minutes. People easily part for me, naturally shrinking away now that I have joined Sam's gang, but it doesn't bug me too much. So far, I haven't found any drawback to the whole wolf thing like the others. I don't care for college. Or falling in love the normal way. I like being a kid and rolling in the dirt and chasing my tail and no responsibility for my own life. I like running as fast as my legs could carry me. All night and protecting my home from the cold ones. I sit down next to Seth. Our school is so small that 8th through 12th all eat at the same time and set my mile-high plate in front of me, licking my lips to catch any drool that might decide to make an appearance. I reach out to start wolfing it down, but a hand snaps out, pushing it away from me and into the waiting hands of my cheeky cousin. I watch, gaping-mouthed, as my food is cut to half its size within minutes. A high-pitched whine starts in my throat, turning to a growl as I glare at Leah, who mischievously messes up her brother's haw. Before sitting on my other side without a care in the world. Chill, baby Belle, I'll let you pick at mine, and Seth eats like a baby bird, so I'm sure he'll give you most of his. Mom told you not to call me that anymore. I growl, referring to the nickname that she constantly used on me when we were kids, until Sue put a quick stop to it. And I'm the same age as you. But I'm still older, she oh so constantly reminds me. That makes you the baby sister. Nah, I say, sticking my tongue out at her. He's the baby, not me. I jut my thumb out at Seth, who is currently trying to stuff him. Self to prove that he doesn't eat like a baby bird. Nah, Bobby. He mumbles through a mouthful of pizza and Coke. Both Leah and I roll our eyes at him. As the rest of the pack, who go to school, show up. Seth swallows his impossibly large mouthful and sits up with excited eyes. So I hand the greatest idea. He starts, and Paul and Quill and Embry all look at him with amused eyes. In the eyes of the pack, Seth is like an entertaining child who has the most amusing thoughts and questions. Pack tattoos, he says simply, looking over everyone's faces for confirmation that his idea is, indeed, brilliant. My jaw drops for several long minutes, before whirling on the older pack members. Please, can we please get pack tattoos? It would be so cool. Please, I beg and say. TH seems pleased with my reaction as he starts bouncing in his excitement. What should it be of? He asks, and I turn to him already planning the best way to convince our alpha. a wolf howling, or, like a full moon for, werewolf. No, 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 it should be something simple, like a paw print. Oh, where do we put it? On our shoulder. Leah asks, becoming excited with the idea too. Right here, I say, pulling up my sleeve to point at the inside of my forearm. It's where I originally wanted to get a tattoo when I was older, but I never knew of what. I will convince Sam by the end of the day to let us get a pack tattoo. I was determined. My grin wouldn't go away, I just couldn't seem to wipe it off as I looked down at the inky black contrast to my pale skin, in the form of a wolf paw print. The tingling in my arm had gone away completely as the skin is already healed, but Jared is still rubbing his where his still fresh mark has not yet fully healed. Seth is still pouting as our sister waits tensely in the tattoo chair with the gun-like contraption filling in the outline of our new pack tattoo. I want one, he says, it was my idea. You're not Wolf, I say smugly at his jealous looks to my new body marking. Not yet, I hear him mumble. I had successfully convinced Sam to make the whole pack get the tattoo, all the same, and all in the same place with the accepting of him. At the base of his, in curly, pretty script, is Emily, and Jared with Kim at his. An imprint's name forever imprinted on their arm, it's very fitting. All the guys can't wait to fill their own spaces. Especially Leah since she's still in love with Sam, but I'm not all that eager to find my soulmate. For one, I'm gay and all the guys feel very certain that if I imprint, it will be on a guy, and the other reason is that I can't see myself being able to give up the wolf to stop changing and let my body age with my imprint. I don't know if I could do it. Sam says that I would do anything for my imprint, but I just don't know. A million thoughts and voices bombard my mind from all sides, excitement, worry, and anger, pressing in on my own feelings and clouding them with someone else's. I shake my head furiously, trying to sort through thoughts that aren't my own, as a sickly sweet smell burns my nose like bleach. It's so strong and fresh that my eyes water, but underneath it, I can smell something alive and so very familiar. The entire pack had been dispersed into the woods not long ago with the raging news that a leech was on our land, hunting on our land, and had taken a boy, my brother, and disappeared into the woods. We were given orders to kill the leech and bring the Seth home, alive, at all costs. The scent had been lost early on, so my pack spread out throughout the woods to search for any sign of them. Seth, you idiot. Pushing my legs faster, I tilt my head back, and howl as loud as I can to gain their attention. Immediately, everyone's mind shifts to finding me. I've got his scent and he's coming up fast. Wait for us, Leah says, and I can tell that she is closest. Don't engage without backup, Sam confirms in his alpha voice, making me huff in annoyance and push my legs even harder than before. A coppery scent adds to the burning one, making my nose flare and anger to explode in my veins. Blood. I burst through some particularly thick underbrush, catching sight of a pale being. But my legs lock stubbornly as the alpha's command echoes through my head, keeping me from attacking. Then my anger and frustration disappear into confusion as my brain finally catches up to what I'm seeing. A vampire. A small pixie of a vampire, stands with a snarl on her pouty lips, and in her hands is the head of another bloodsucker, a man with longish blonde hair pulled into a ponytail and blood-red eyes staring unseeingly. I barely notice my brother, perfectly fine, though terrified, a few yards away, because all I can think as she bares her teeth at the now headless kidnapper is beautiful. She turns her golden, honey eyes to me, and they widen in shock and horror as she drops the head she was holding. I can understand why she would fear me. She's on Quileute land and I am a giant beast coming out of the trees, a predator made to destroy beings like herself. But I have no urge to lunge and kill her, like the voices in my head hiss at me to do. The very thought, at harming such a memorizing creature, makes cold wash down my spine as the world shifts out from under me and everything I thought meant something, is meaningless. Staring at her, this girl, this vampire. I don't know anything at all except that I would do anything for her, be anything for her, and I would surely die if she continued to look at me with such dread and fear in her eyes. Curses sound in my head, and the pounding of paws on the ground snap me out of whatever it was that I was in, and I glance back down at the other body. Had she crossed the border, risking the treaty, just to save a human boy? I look back to the pixie-like creature, where she is still frozen in place, and jerk my head at the treaty line a few yards away. Relief floods her face and she turns, darting back to the safety on the other side of the border. An ache spreads in my chest, a longing to run after her, but I still have duty to my pack and my brother, so I force my muscles to relax and shift to human. I dig through the pocket in my shorts, attached to my leg by a leather cord, and fish out a lighter. My hands are trembling so horribly that, by the time a small flame sparks, Leah finally bursts out of the trees as a wolf. Throws a glance at the now burning vampire, and rushes to our wide-eyed brother. I tug on the sports bra strapped to my leg, and then the shorts before jogging over and kneeling next to my siblings. Seth's heart is beating way too fast to be healthy, so I reach out, brushing his hair out of his sweating face. Calm down, Seth, you're safe now. You're safe. More wolves charge onto sight and quickly shift, pulling on shorts as they draw closer. The mortification of being naked or in front of naked men had worn off, simply because it happens so often and they find it hilarious. Run something through their heads over and over if it makes me the slightest bit uncomfortable. Nudity is featured heavily in their teasing and taunting, so much so, that I had lost all embarrassment. Sam strides forward, giving me a thoughtful and searching look, before checking to make sure Seth is okay. Though he's not a wolf, everyone thinks of him as much as part of the pack as Emily and Kim. He's an honorary member, really. Can you tell us what happened, Seth? He asks when my brother's heart finally goes down to a healthy pace, in that calm deep voice he always uses. Seth swallows. I saw someone in the tree line. They looked like they were hurt, so I went to see if I could help. I knew too late that he was a leech and he grabbed me, running deeper. He heard someone coming, so he was going to bite me right there. But then another leech came running at us and ripped his head right off. That's when Bella showed up. My lips pull back on their own accord, snarling softly at him. She's not a leech, I hiss defensively. His eyes widen slightly and mouth drops open. Yes, Sam says, once again studying me. It seems that we have a lot to figure out. For now, let's get back to house so Emily can bandage any scrapes Seth had received. The rest of the pack move back into the foliage, striping as they go as I boost my brother up onto Leah's gray furred back. She quickly races after them, and Seth's crow of glee sends birds taking off into the air. I shift after tying my clothes back to its cord, and look longingly back towards the border where the amazing creature had run off. What was her name? By her eyes, she must be a Cullen, but what is her first name? I ache to tattoo it under my pack tattoo, to show the entire world that she's my imprint, so no one can hurt her. I ache to know her, see her smile. To protect her and be at her side. I suck in a deep breath, tasting a bit of floral and rain underneath the smoke of the burning leech and musk of my pack. I want to bury my nose in that scent and never have to smell anything else. Instead, I turn away and sprint after my family and pack, preparing myself for a hard, long talk. Oh, Bella, congratulations. Emily squeals, pulling me into a crushing hug. And for a human, that's no little feat either, to crush the lungs of a werewolf. There is a collective groan from the shirtless boys behind me. Please, not another, Embry moans. We were in her mind for 5 minutes and already I'm tired of hearing about her. I wonder what her name is. I hope she's not scared of me. What if her family doesn't like me? Oh my gosh. Do I spell bad to her? It's sickening, Paul continues, but I can see a hint of a smile in his eyes, along with concern. It seems that vampires do have souls. This information changes a lot, Sam murmurs. Deep in thought about my imprinting on a vampire. Seth looks just about ready to burst in happiness, all fear and trauma erased from existence. At least one good thing happened from my getting taken. Right. Ow. He cringes as Leah slaps the back of his head with a growl. Idiot, you had us worried half to death about you. You're lucky I don't kill you. A pout forms on his lips and he sinks farther into Emily's couch, rubbing the back of his head where Leah no doubt accidentally used too much strength. Sam sighs, running his hand over his face. You weren't kidding when you said you weren't going to make things easy for me, were you? Hey, I frowned slightly. I didn't just go and decide to imprint on a vampire, and at least it's a good one, right? I mean, it could be worse. No kidding, Leah snorts and I shoot her a glare. She clears her throat awkwardly. But she did save Seth from becoming a bloodsucker's snack at the risk of being torn to pieces. So I'm incredibly grateful. I approve. A grin splits my face and I can't help but give a little twirl in giddiness. I have to meet her, I say, looking out the window and into the woods. I need to know her name. I whirl on my alpha as an idea strikes me, and I give the best pleading eyes I can muster. Please Sam, please let me transfer to Forks High School, I have to meet her. I'll do anything more patrol. Clean the entire house, do Paul's homework. Hey, he says indignantly. It's okay, Bella, of course you can go. Really? I ask, eyes going wide with hope. Really? The rest say, matching my surprise at his easy caving. He sighs. Despite being a Lee, he pauses at my dark look. Vampire, she is Bella's imprint. It would only hurt her to be away from the Cullen girl. I leap to my feet from where I was begging, and wrap him in a vice-like hug. Thank you. Excitement and nervousness starts to flutter in my belly, like a swarm of killer bees, and I'm suddenly feeling a little ill. God, what do I say to her? I can't tell her that I'm in love with her and would do anything to make her happy. That would scare her more than the fact that I'm a werewolf. Do I just walk up to her and her family? Just say hello. However, Sam says, breaking me from my nervous worrying. I still need to speak with the elders and let them know what happened. I'll send our paperwork over to Forks tomorrow and you can probably start there at the beginning of the week. Thank you, I say again earnestly, and can't help thinking that this went over so much better than I could have hoped for. My bike purrs comfortingly beneath me as I get closer to the school. I hadn't ridden it any since my change, but its familiar hum almost eases my nerves. This bike, I helped J. Ake build from scratch in his rickety garage with long days sipping warm orange pop and listening to the static Y radio, just hanging out. Sometimes Quill and Embry, or Seth and Leah would drop by and we would all just hang out together. Enjoying each other's company. A lot of my most fondest memories happened there, and after years of working on the bikes, we had finally finished them last year, a few months before Jake started hanging around with Sam and cut off all his hair. Pulling into an empty parking space and turning off the ruble of my bike, my nerves are left to have free rein on my body and my hands start to shake. Though not in the about to turn into a wolf and rip someone's head off way. Well, maybe my own head. Many eyes turn to me as I dismount my bike, and I shove a handy pee into the pocket of my leather jacket and adjust my book bag straps. I don't really need the jacket, but Sam says that it's cold outside to the humans, and I'm supposed to fit in. So I wear the stupid coat even as I start to sweat. Though that could just be from nerves. Looking around the lot, I scan for any golden eyes, but don't find any even as I tilt my head up and inhale. There is a faint smell of sweet, though not sickly. But it's a few days old. I make my way to the office building, and it's even stuffier in that small room. My smile to the reception lady, Ms. Coper desk says, is strained. Hi, I'm Isabella Black. I'm new here. I had taken my dad's old name as soon as I could realize that my mother left us, and had been using it ever since. I would have used the last name Clearwater. But the last name seemed to be the only thing I had left of my birth father. Ah, yes, she says, shuffling through a bunch of papers. Here is your schedule, your locker number, and a map of the school. I highlighted all the best routes for you to take to get to your classes. Thank you, I stammer, glancing out the window and seeing the large numbers painted on the side of the buildings. How can anyone get lost? Oh, I almost forgot, she says, ducking down to a filing drawer. You'll need to get all of your teachers to sign this and bring it back to me after school. She produces a yellow slip of paper and slides it over to me. Thank you, I repeat again, turning to leave for the second time. Good luck, she calls, and I sigh in relief as the doors close behind me. The parking lot, in my absence, seemed to have swelled with people. Those heads that did not turn to me as soon as I walked out, are dipped together examining my shining black bike. Taking another whiff of air, I conclude that the Cullens have not yet arrived, so I continue on building 3 where my first class is held. The eyes that follow me make my skin itch. I was stared at and talked about at my old school a lot, but this is just crazy. No one should be able to get this much attention for just a transfer. Hey, a greasy-haired boy says, sidling up on my right. I'm Eric. Isabella, right. I am Media. Telly examine him and he seems innocent enough, so I take his offered hand. Just Bella. He nods eagerly, face lighting up like a puppy when you reward him for being good. I grimace as his bounce becomes more prominent. Well, Bella, I can help you to you first class if you like. Be your tour guide. Thank you, I say, but it's not all that difficult to figure out. He seems to deflate a little before seeming to perk up. Oh, well, you could still eat with me and my friends at lunch. I don't think so, Eric, I grimace, I've already got plans. Bye, I say quickly in hopes that he catches on. I mean, what's he going to do? Follow me right into the classroom. Does he even have this class? Oh, yeah, well, if you change your mind, he stammers, smile effectively whipped off his face. The bells rings, and I sigh. Leaning back in my seat in relief. A blonde head pops over my shoulder. Hey, Isabella, I'm Mike. I groan and sit up. Can they not at least pretend they don't know me before meeting me? Bella, I correct. For what I can tell of today, the second in 100 times. Cool, Bella, so I was wandering. My nose flares at the scent of pheromones as he leans even closer over the table. As if I couldn't already hear him. I'm gay, I interrupt in a deadpanned voice. He blinks a few times in shock, opens his mouth, and then the teacher walks in and I give a silent cheer. That W. As the first in many unwanted conversations, though Angela in my Spanish class was really nice, and I can see myself hanging out with her. She, rather shyly, also offered me to sit with her at lunch. I much more gently let her down that I had other lunch plans. I made sure to tell her, though, that I liked her. For some reason, that made her blush. She had stammered. You're very nice and all, but I have a boyfriend. That made me tilt my head back and laugh, turning quite a few heads. No, I quickly went to reassure her so she wouldn't regret inviting me to sit with her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I meant I like you in the strictly platonic kind of way. Oh, she says, relief flooding her face. I had laughed again, getting her to shyly smile back. When the time for lunch comes, the killer bees are more active than ever in my stomach, and I hesitantly walk through the doors with my bagged lunch that Emily made. My eyes scan the tables, but the sweet, not sickly sweet scent makes my nose flare and I turn to a table of 5 inhumanly beautiful people. I barely notice them, though, as my eyes fix on the smallest, pixie-like creature. All their heads turn at once to me. Her golden eyes widening behind her inky black bangs as her hair fluffs out in the most adorable way. Her honey-colored eyes fill with nervousness as I stride over to their table and sit down at the only vacant seat between a large bear of a male and a smaller one that has gravity-defying hair. I don't even glance at them, or their tensing muscles, as I lean forward with all nervousness gone and replaced with a kind of excitement. What's your name? I ask, relieved that I may finally get an answer. Her eyes shift nervously, but I don't want her to be afraid of me. Alice. 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 It's such a pretty name and I can't wait to carve it under my tattoo so it's a permanent part of me. Remembering the others, her family that I will protect as much as her, I fork my eyes away from her and to the curly-haired blonde beside her. I notice her hands clamped around his arm, and I let myself feel a flash of disappointment before I shove it away. I will be whatever she needs me to be. It doesn't have to be her mate. And yours? I ask her mate, now smelling her all over him. Like sunshine and rain, he seems to be the least tense as her regards me as curiously as I am him. Jasper, he says, tilting his head, and I notice a slight southern twang to it. It's good to meet you. Like hell it is, the blonde beauty beside the large one hisses. What are you doing here, mutt? I frown slightly, unsure of what to say. What's your name? I ask instead, and fury overtakes her face. Alice interrupts before her more than likely venomous words can be spilt. My eyes are once again drawn to my flawless imprint, and I once again stare. This is Rosalie and her mate, Emmett. She waves to the largest and second most intimidating if it weren't for the goofy smile splitting his face. And that is Edward, she says, gesturing to the hair-defying gravity boy. Hello. I force myself to once again turn away so I can greet them properly. The boy, Edward, looks stressed as he stares at me in frustration. About last week in the border I'm not here on business of the pack. I would prefer to address this with your alpha though, so could we possibly meet somewhere? Jasper is the one to respond to me. You can follow us to our house after school. We'll let Carlisle know to get off of work early. Thank you. The blonde scowls. Who knew a dog had manners? She snarks. Who knew the Cullens already had a dog of their own? My hands slap over my mouth in horror. I really had not meant to call Rosalie a bitch in a roundabout way. That's not the FIRST impression I want Alice's family to have at all. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But the blonde's lip seems to curve up in the slightest of smirks, so I take it as a good thing. I shift awkwardly now, and pull out the delicious food that was packed for me. We sit in relative silence as I munch on my food and they look in every other direction, pretending that I'm not there and everyone's eyes are not trained of us. Wide and disbelieving, the lunch bell rings and I stand up to make my way to advanced biology. Rosalie Cullen's nose flares, and her eyes flash dangerously as I move to the front to get my slip signed. I don't know what you think you're doing here, but I don't like you. She says in a sub-whisper, glaring fiercely at me. I frown, pausing in my path to the back of the class where she's at. And sit down at the nearest desk to the window instead. I don't have a class with a Cullen next period, but upon walking into the girls' locker room for gym, floral and rain high. My nose and my eyes land on the smallest of Cullens disappearing out the doors, already changed into gym clothes. I hurriedly pull on my own baggy clothing, almost forgetting a shirt out of habit, and stumble after her scent like a lost puppy. I punch myself hard in the thigh to give me something else to think about, and I'm able to pull my mind back to normal. Just act normal around her, you're being too obvious. My mind hisses. And I force myself not to look at her as I sit down in the back of the group to escape some of the stares. It doesn't actually work, and I'm relieved when the coach finally comes in and has us start laps. Immediately, Alice is halfway across the track before I can step off the bleachers. I fight the urge to chase after her by another punch in the thigh, and RT out at a slow jog to keep pace with the humans. I don't get to talk to her at all the entire class, and disappointment has me dragging my feet the entire walk to my bike. It purrs to life beneath me as my eyes land of the silver Volvo. The shiniest car in the lot. As they do, it pulls smoothly out of its space and shoots off onto the main road. My motorcycle roars as I chase after it and I'm lit to pour on speed as we get out of sight of the school, seeing as vampires are as much of speed freaks as the wolves. Several minutes pass before they veer off the road onto a well-hidden path in the trees. I would have zoomed right past if it weren't for my awesome werewolf reaction time, and I charge after them at a much slower pace, deeper into the trees. My nervousness grows as the minutes drag on of this same dirt road. Until finally, the trees open up to reveal a grand, white house. I pull up next to the parked Volvo, gaping at the enormous mansion in front of me. It must be 4, maybe 5 times as big as my house on the reservation. Even more nervous than before, I glance down at my loose jeans, ratty t-shirt, my red Ray-Bans, and my leather jacket as I make my way up to the door. I look rather sloppy to be entering a house of this class. As I reach up to knock, the good doctor himself, looking rather concerned, flings the door open. Yes, we've been expecting a visit from the shifters for the past few days. Please, come in. All 7 of the vampires are standing in the living area of the downstairs, and my eyes once again hesitate on Alice before sliding to the only unknown vampire. She smiles warmly, if not worriedly, stepping forward to offer her hand. Hello dear, I'm Esme. Bella, I say, shaking it politely and trying to ignore the shock of cold that comes from her skin. None of the pack would dare enter the home of 7 vampires, even animal-drinking ones, alone, but I don't feel threatened as Carlisle joins his family. I must apologize for my daughter crossing the border the other day. And we hope that nothing changes in the treaty. The treaty is void, I say, and all of them tense, eyes growing dark. We wish that you stay on your land unless accompanied by a wolf. My pack tends to attack without thought when they smell vampire. What? They all blink, so I fall to a knee and bow my head. We are in your department. If you are ever in trouble, the wolves will fight with you. I may be laying it on a little thick, but they must know that I will never harm Alice's family. That I will do anything to protect her and anyone she cares for. Wait, Emmett says. A grin growing on his face, so we have guard dogs now. The blonde slaps his head with a cracking sound. I don't understand. Carlyle says, tilting his head with puzzlement. My eyes once again fall on Alice. You risked your life to save a boy you didn't even know. The awe is clear in my voice. Not even most humans would do that. Her eyes hold mine, nothing but curiosity shining in them. We are questioning a lot of what we believed in. That doesn't make sense. Rosalie scowls, though there is not as much bite in her words now that she knows that I am not threatening her family. Even if we crossed the border to save someone, the old wolves would have still used it as an excuse to start a war. And now you're saying that you'll fight for us if we are in trouble. What do I say without giving away that it's because of my imprint? I turn my eyes to the blonde, tearing my gaze from the wide eyes of my everything. The boy she saved is my little brother. I turn my eyes back to my imprint. Real awe and gratitude for what she did. I can never repay you for that. She smiles warmly and steps away from her mate to grab my hand and pull me to my feet. There's no need for you to owe me. Her voice is like bells and so beautiful that I could listen to her read a phone book for hours and never grow bored. I just did what I thought was right. Emmett comes up, shoving his sister away. And I almost snarl at him as he throws his arms around me. She may not want something, but I do. He grins widely down at me. Want to wrestle? I bet I can win. I snort, narrowing my eyes at the challenge and my lips pull back over my teeth. Oh, please. I pretty much live with 6 other boys. If I can take all of them at once, I can take you. His grin is blinding as he lowers himself into a crouch. I shake my head at him. Not in the house, you dimwit, we'll end up breaking all of Esme's things. Esme smiles thankful at me before turning an admittedly scary glare on her son. At least someone thinks before they act. Strange considering she's a wolf. Edward finally speaks, and his tone is somewhat cold. A twinge of anger tingles in my veins, and just because I wouldn't hurt him for Alice doesn't mean I won't defend myself. My voice and face turn as cold and stony as their skin. I have perfectly contempt control on my emotions as a new wolf. It's quit. Easy to control anger when the one you hate isn't yourself for what you are. I had spotted right away that his broody self likely had to do with him hating what he is. I've seen it enough in my pack members to pick it out. It's not necessarily that they hate being wolf, but more of how it took their futures. As far as I can see, it's a less watered-down version of what Edward might be feeling. He blinks at me as I turn away from him dismissively, kicking off my shoes as I go and a slow grin sliding across my face. Now, I say, loosening my belt and tugging my shirt over my head. Let's see how well you fare against the big bad wolf. I almost laugh at their wide-eyed shocked expressions as I run out the door, stripping as I go, and then explode into my wolf. I snarl playfully at the inning boy as he runs out of the house and crouches down in an offense position. I paw the ground, smiling wolfishly at the worried faces that appear more slowly at the door. My ears flick at the subtle sound of movement. And I instinctively duck. Good thing too, because a pale, broad body sails just above my head, twisting in the air and landing on his feet. Before he can recuperate, I lunge, butting him in the back and sending him face first in the dirt. I bark a laugh at his utterly shocked face. All right, fur face. He cheers, leaping to his feet and charging again. I start to get into it the longer it goes on. Dragging it on longer that I could have actually beat him. Finally, I tackle him, effectively pinning him and gently touching his neck with my teeth to signal that I won. He laughs sitting up, whipping drool from his neck. I almost had you, he claims. I sit wagging my tail as Alice comes trotting over with a large smile. She could have finished it 10 times over, she was just having too much fun. I yip in agreement. She cautiously reaches out, as if to pet me, so I hold perfectly still for her, even going so far as to lower my head in submission. The only one I ever submit to is Sam. But that's just because I have to. I want to submit to her, I am willing and okay with it. If she wanted me dead, I would hold perfectly still as she killed me. I never thought I could ever love someone this much. Ever, even if I knew them for all my life. I nudge her hand with my head when she doesn't seem like she's going to move any closer, and press up against her with an affectionate rumble in my chest. She seems delighted, but more of in a, got a new dog, sort of delight than want to be close to a boyfriend, or in my case, girlfriend. Her touch is soft, and I know that from now on, I'll crave it. Jasper approaches behind Carlyle, an odd curiosity alight in his eyes, and a kind of fascination. Carlyle's own compassionate eyes show their intrigue as he draws closer, pausing in his reach for me as my ears flick irritably and the slight shift away from him. He looks confused, shooting a look at Alice, who I am just fine with petting me, but she's my imprint. She can do whatever she wants to me. May I examine you? I've never examined a shifter up close before. I huff, and force my muscles to relax in permission. I, of course, don't submit to him though. Fascinating, he murmurs, running his hands over me like vet would to check the alignment of bones in a dog. I snuffle distractedly at Alice as he works, enjoying her giggles as I nose her hair. She smells really, really good. Whoa, hey, I jerk with a startled yelp, whirling around and nip sharply at his leg as he starts to run his hand over my rump and hindquarter. Carlyle blinks up at me and surprise as I lower my ears and growl warningly. A few pale figures tense. What did I do? He asks confusedly. I huff and trot over to my sports bra that I had flung away, shifting as I reach it. I may not be embarrassed much by nudity anymore, but I still don't appreciate being touched in those places. I'm not a dog. He seems horrifiedly embarrassed. Emmett just cracks up until a slap from his mate has him clutching his head in pain. I, again, huff indignantly as I pull on some panties and my pants before going in search on my shirt. Alice offers it to me, and I blush slightly. Why doesn't nudity bother you anymore? She asks curiously. I grind my teeth at the thought. You try living in the minds of 6 other guys that are nearly constantly naked around you, and will think about anything that will make you uncomfortable. I can't even count how many times they've seen me or I've seen them naked. A small snarl comes from Rosalie and I briefly wonder what for before Carlyle captures my attention with an inquiry. What about thoughts? Oh, when we're in wolf form, there is a pack link that connects all our minds. It's nearly impossible to keep secrets. Oh man, sounds like Edward, Emmett groans. At my head tilt, the boy in question hurries to explain rather annoyedly. I can read minds, though yours seems to be an exception. That's good. I don't need him spilling the beans about Alice being my imprint. She needs to decide for herself with no outside force if I could be anything more than a friend. Huh, I say instead, and he just grunts. He is clearly unhappy with this fact. If I may. Carlyle starts curiously. I thought that the wolves could only be male. I bark a laugh, remembering the memories of shock the first time Leah changed. I was less of a surprise to them. You and everyone else. My sister is the first female wolf. I'm second. My easy smile wavers as a distant howl startles the air. I turn sharply in the direction of the summoning call. I must go. I tell the vampires and stride quickly to my bike. What's happening? Alice asks worriedly, and my tight eyes soften at her. A summons. I have to go, I'll see you at school. I sling my forgotten book bag over my shoulder and peel out of the long driveway. Jasper's paw. The 7 vampires watch the wolf girl speed away with differing looks of concern and curiosity. Jasper particularly looks on with a kind of puzzlement and acceptance. He dips his head close to his best friend's ear, whispering even though he knows that everyone can hear. Darling, you do know that she's in love with you, right? A surprised sound comes from everyone other than the mind reader, who gathered that much as soon as Jasper felt and distinguished the feeling rolling of the wolf in consuming waves. Bella didn't feel at all like the normally hateful wolves he sometimes felt when they got close to the border. Alice seems to choke and look up sharply with wide eyes before relaxing slightly. She's just in love with what I did. I saved her brother. It will wear off. She brushes it off, but Jasper frowns doubtfully. The emotions coming from the she-wolf were strong, stronger than that coming from even Carlyle and Esme, or Rosalie and Emmett. He got the distinct feeling that if she thought it would make the tiniest Cullen happy, she would do anything for her without a second or even first thought. Deaded or heroic crushes are not like that at all. It's more of borderline obsessive, except without the crazy he normally feels coming off the few he has come across. It was just love coming off her, pure, real, non-wavering, shiny-eyed. Excited love. He doubts that this will ever wear off. What's going on? I ask, slightly annoyed, in my head as I race through the forest to where I instinctively know where my pack is. Oh, thank God, Jacob says in my mind, and I mentally groan as I see his worries and relief that I wasn't eaten by the coven of vampires. Really, I deadpan, you called me home because you thought I might have been eaten. Common, I was at their house. I was talking to my imprint. Alice, I sigh dreamily, ignoring the grunts and protests of the other wolves. Amusement prods my mind. Great. Now I'm going to be fantasizing about someone who is like a mother to me, a good friend, a 3-year-old, and a leech girl, Leah jokes, referring to our sometimes mushed and combined thoughts when wolf. I start to snarl at the leech comment before I stop short. Wait, 3-year-old. Embry starts howling in laughter, even going so far as to start rolling in the dirt. Quill imprinted on Claire. Quill snarls at his 2 best friends, nipping them hard in the rumps, embarrassment in his thoughts though he couldn't feel shame for it. I nudge the dejected boy wolf shifter happily. Congrats. We can get our tattoos together. He grins wolfishly at me as he headbutts me back. A heavy weight lands on my shoulders making me stumble and roll as a teasing voice sounds in my head. So how did the first day at the new school go? Leah asks me, leaping off before I can recuperate her attack. I run over my day and encounters in my head and her smile fades. She's with the blonde boy. Damn, that sucks. I heave my shoulders in a shrug. I'll be whatever she will have me as. Friends is better than enemy. Still sucks, she comments. I nose her in the side to get her to start walking with me. Who's on patrol right now? I ask concerned. There had been another vampire sent in the area since Alice killed the first, and it's possibly part of its coven, maybe even its mate. As of now, she harumphs, picking up the speed to a fairly fast pace. I bark out a laugh and charge forward, leaping over a fallen log and prancing just out of reach of my sister's snapping teeth. Running is fun. I don't know how you can hate patrols. And I can't believe you can't find a single thing wrong with being wolf. We pause for a second to snuffle around a sickly sweet scent, but it's old and we move on. Being wolf is like freedom. I'm a part of something that most people think to be fairy tales, but there is so much more out there than we thought. It's like you're a kid again and there's this big world that anything is possible. She's silent for a very long time, and I let her gather her thoughts at her own pace. Sometimes you amaze me, Bella. I grin wolfishly at her before turning back and paying close attention to the sounds and smells of the forest. I can't wait for tomorrow to come, and I could be around my imprint again. Already, I'm stressing the distance between us. I practically prance into the lunchroom, eyes instinctively finding my imprint in her family. A smile splits my face and the anxiety that had been building since I drove away from Alice on my motorcycle dissipates. I carry my stuffed bag lunch over to their table and sit in the empty seat next to Rosalie. She wrinkles her nose but doesn't say anything. Hi, I greet, glancing at everyone. Jasper, I notice, gives me a small curious smile. So, is everything all right with the pack? Alice asks. My heart warms at her concern. Yeah, it was just my stupid cousin. He's a little skittish about me being alone with a bunch of vampires, no matter who you are. He'll get over it. Oh, she says doubtfully. I guess that's good then. I bite my lip. There is something that you need to know, though. Another vampire had been sneaking around the res. And we think it might be the mate of the leech Alice killed. Their reactions are less than positive. We'll keep our eyes out, Edward says stiffly, if not coldly. I get the impression that he doesn't like me much. Thanks for the heads up, Alice say appreciatively, making me brighten. She hesitates now. How is your brother doing? Is he all right? Oh, Seth is fine. He bounces back quick and he already knew about vampires and werewolves, so that wasn't a problem. That's good. I'm glad he wasn't hurt. Me too, I say softly, looking down at my hands as I recall the sheer panic and fury I felt upon hearing of his kidnapping. If I may ask, you don't, she hesitates, look like him. I shrug. Charlie Swan was my actual father, but when he died in the accident that put Uncle Billy in a wheelchair, his family took me in. He's my brother as much as Leah's his sister. That was cool of them, Emmett says, not surprisingly listening to our conversation. It is, after all, the only one happening at this table. By the way, I call rematch. I snort, narrowing my eyes at the challenge. Fine, but no matter how many times we fight, I'll always win. Nah, that was a fluke. A fluke would be you able to win against a human. He throws his head back in a bellowing laugh, making me blink. An insult like that would have one of my pack tackling me over the table. Wow, we really are short-tempered, aren't we? You're not bad for a wolf, he compliments merrily. And you're not a completely soulless blood-sucking fiend. Who knew? Everyone, other than Edward, seems to crack a smile. The bell rings for the end of lunch and I leap to my feet, trailing after Rosalie. I cast one last longing glance at Alice, seeing her clinging to Jasper's stiff arm. Whatever she wants, I remind myself. Dumping the trash of my ravished lunch. I sit in the same seat I sat in yesterday, and my table remains empty like yesterday. As soon as the bell rings, the teacher, whose name I don't remember, hands out a thick packet. A project. A two-person project. I glance quickly around the room, taking in everyone already pairing up into the groups they've had since the beginning of the year. And my eyes land on Rosalie, who remains alone at her table. She, too, seems to come to the same realization, her constant glare intensifying as I stand and start making my way over to her. No, she says immediately. I'll do all the work and you go away. You can even just write your name on the paper. Ah, but you can't make a child all on your own, I point out a little too cheerily. The project is to create a child through the shared genetics of the partners. Take the dominant traits from the respective partner and draw the results. Really, this is more something for art class. I don't like you, she says slowly. So we'll get a divorce afterwards because there's no way I'm having a bastard child. I swear on my grave that I saw her lips twitch into some semblance of a smile. But she really doesn't want me to see it, so she scowls. Fine, she huffs. Come over after school. Let's get this done as soon as possible. I need to have time to air out the house so it doesn't smell like dog. I don't want to do it twice. I grin. So that's a yes to marriage. That is definitely a smile. I'm greeted much more enthusiastically upon arriving at the Cullens. For one, a massive pale body charges me, dropping down from the roof. Instinctually, I instantly allow myself to roll with the tackle, the loud sound of my clothes shredding in my ears. A feral snarl rips through my chest as the sickly scent of leech fills my nose. There is a booming laugh as he spins away from my snapping jaws, and a feminine shout of, "You idiot." My hackles flatten as I finally realize that it's Emmett as the attacker. Not a rouge red eye. Again, I snarl. That was a perfectly good jacket and my third pair of shoes. I lunge and he twists away again, starting for my back. I quickly drop, doing a dangerous move of exposing my belly, but it pays off as I launching him with my back legs into a tree that quickly topples. I'm on my feet again before he can shake the wood chips from his hair. If he weren't Alice's brother, I would so rip off his arm mainly because he can just reattach it. I huff, shaking out my fur before shifting again and walking over to my discarded book bag. The straps are no good anymore but the rest of it held up pretty well. I unzip it and pull out a loose shirt that I quickly throw on. Emmett comes out of the broken tree still laughing. "Idiot," Rosalie says crossing over to him. "She could have torn your head off." "Nah, we were just playing." "No, you're an idiot," I say, angrily tugging on shorts that rub me uncomfortably. "Let me get you. Said to your scent first before doing sneak attacks. I'm still wolf and it's in my nature to defend myself harshly from unknown attacks." "Oh," he looks sheepish. Edward kicks off the Volvo with a grunt. "You have to be careful with mutts. They can't control themselves." "Yup, definitely doesn't like me." Surprisingly, it's Rosalie that comes to my aid in the form of a scowl as she smooths out her mate's shirt. "Oh, shut up. You do just the same when he attacks you. Everyone has instincts to defend themselves." I blink in surprise before smiling slightly. "Thanks." He glare doesn't seem as fierce. "I still hate you," she hisses. "You still agreed to marry me," I respond instantly, and she can't seem to stop the snort, looking absolutely horrified afterwards. "Marry?" Alice asks confusedly. "I'm missing something, aren't I?" All my leftover annoyance completely disappears when I see her. "Just something about our project," I answer, gathering the remains of my backpack and trying not to stare like a creeper. "I think I do rather well." I turn to Rosalie. "So where do we do this?" She ignores Emmett's snicker, stalking up to the door as Esme opens it. She leads me past the living room where we had gathered yesterday and up a flight of stairs. She doesn't give a tour or explain doors or hallways that we bypass, but just leads me silently to what I assume is her room. It's very elegant with golden walls and curtains that seem to throw the light of the sun. I'm briefly allowed to see her skin scatter diamonds before she snaps them closed. Nice, I comment, glancing around the orderly space. She rolls her eyes, plopping into the desk chair on the left of the room. I drop my bag at the foot of the bed before plopping onto the duvet. She wrinkles her nose, probably thinking of the smell that I'm rubbing into it. I don't know why she's complaining. It smells like bleach drenched on flowers and I'm making it smell better, really. Let's hurry up and finish so you can stop stinking up my room. Fine, I say, digging through my bag. A wicked grin splits my lips. So what's more dominant, the wolf or the vampire? She rolls her eyes, fishing out her binder with exaggeratedly graceful movements. How do the humans not notice the inhumaness of everything they do? Maybe a hybrid mix. Half and half. She ignores me to silently write. Fine, but our son is going to be named Fido if he's a little vamp, you know. Respect his roots. She finally smiles and I feel a small sense of accomplishment. She decides to glare at me instead. Shut up and let's get this over with. Fine, I raise my hands in surrender. Knowing enough that it will start to actually get annoying if I keep going. Besides, I'm out of funny things to say. It took a long time just to come up with that Fido one on the way over. We work seriously for about 10 minutes and we just finished comparing our list of physical traits and picking out the dominant ones, when there is a knock on the bedroom door. Esme peeks her head in with a smile and an amazing smell wafting after, almost covering her vampire scent. Why don't you guys take a break? I brought snacks. My stomach rumbles in response to the smell food while Rosalie makes a sound of disgust. I wasn't sure how much you would eat, so. My eyes widen as she reveals a tray stacked high with meats and cheeses and crackers and cookies on another tray. It's more than enough to feed a wolf and I grin. This is perfect, thank you, I say, slightly touched. Vampires don't eat human food so she must have gone to the store, just to be able to feed me. Wolf metabolism is a lot higher than a human so we need to eat a lot more. She sets the 2 trays on the bed for me and lingers by the door. Whenever you girls get done, Emmett is waiting for you, Bella. He is certain that he could beat you in video games. I smile brightly. Thank you. She finally leaves and I stack a cracker with 4 different meats and 2 different cheeses. I pause as it comes to my mouth. And give a testing sniff. Esme's vampire scent clings to it still, and it's a little unpleasant, but I eat it anyway. It's not that bad and there is no way that I would insult the kind vampire. Not just because she's my Imprint's coven. Rosalie's nose crinkles. So not only are you getting your stink everywhere, but now you're getting that smelly human food in here. I'm going to have to bleach the walls and get an entire new bed. It already smells like you bleached the place, what's a few more gallons of poison rubbed into the carpet? I can't help insulting. She keeps insulting my scent. Even though I was kind enough to refrain so far for her, and it is actually getting me pretty angry. It's a shocking reminder that I'm actually still a new wolf. It's just so strange, I don't get genuinely angry often. Except when someone from my pack does something to deliberately piss me off. Rosalie raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow and I crunch angrily on a cracker. When I'm finished, we continue with the project tensely, and start a drawing. She's a much better artist than me so she only allows me to color, grimacing the entire time as my horrible coloring destroys her pretty work. Honestly, my coloring wasn't that bad, she's just a drama queen which I was sure to tell her. After that she's shoving the empty tray in my hands and out her door as I wear a self-satisfied smile. With that, I walk back down the stairs to find the kitchen and return the tray. Oh, thank you dear, Esme tells me, quickly taking it to start washing at the sink. Go on and play with Emmett, he's waiting for you. And I'm so going to clobber you. There's no way you can beat me. Emmett calls from the living room. Bring it on leech. Mutt. Mosquito. Puppy. Dracula. And he laughs, tossing me a game controller. I startle awake in my bed, listening hard to see what could have caused the disturbance of my sleep, which becomes clear very quickly. How was patrol? I ask, quietly as Leah pulls her other foot through the window. Long, she sighs tiredly, a big yawn keeping her from saying much else. It's your shift. Right, I huff, sliding my legs out of bed. Right as Leah falls onto her mattress. A deep howl splits the air, making her groan and quickly scramble to her feet. I'm already halfway out the window and racing towards the trees, leaving a trail of clothes behind me. I explode out of my skin. I suck in the sharper smells of nature as my large paws make their own paths on the forest ground and twigs snag in my reddish fur. One by one, more voices join in my head. Sluggish with sleep but snapped alert by the shock of a chase. Because it is a chase. All the wolves delving into the deepest parts of the woods on the reservation, all searching for Jar. Ed as he chases after the female vampire. The vampire that I can see now in his thoughts, through his eyes, that has hair like fire in the night, flickering in and out view, dancing beautifully, yet dangerously. I snap my jaws at her as she streaks past me, missing her by millimeters as her shirt tears on my tooth and scent burns my nose to the point of pain. Dirt and moss and leaves that could They fallen 100 years ago or kicked up as I spin, and take off after the female leech. I push my legs faster than they could carry me, tearing up roots and other vegetation. She suddenly swerves, right just as a brown wolf leaps from the shadows, saliva flying from maw. I try to stop or dodge, but it feels like getting hit by a truck as 300 pounds of wolf hit me at supernatural speeds. My yelp, loud and sharp, is lost in the thunder-like crash. Damn it, sorry Bella. Paul yelps, limping as he drags himself off me. Ow, 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 ow. My whines come short and fast as pain spreads like fire in my ribs. Fudge, 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 fudge. I chant, trying really hard not to curse. Paul, though, had no qualms about foul language. Shit. Aw, man, I'm so sorry Bella. What's wrong? I think some of my ribs are broken. Are you alright? Yeah, just twisted my paw. He shuffles, wincing when he puts pressure on his right foreleg. Damn it, we lost her. Quill curses, and I see through his EYs as the redhead hits the water from her dive off a cliff. How's Bella? Sam asks through the pack link and everyone starts a jog back to where we were left behind. She thinks some of her ribs broke. I hit her pretty hard. Is anyone else injured? Sam asks. Paul twisted his paw. I answer with some annoyance. Are you okay, baby Belle? I'll be fine, I answer Leah as she's the first to step into my sight. I can feel her concern. But I really will be okay. Wolves heal fast, so while I'll be a little tender for the next 24 hours, it's nothing life-threatening. Besides, it's not like all of us haven't gotten something broken a time or two just wrestling with each other. It happens practically every other week. Go ahead and shift back, I'll carry you home. I let my head fall back into the leaves, vaguely noting the others change direction from me, and Paul limping off with Sam, who was the only other one to arrive after my sister. Relaxing enough to shift is a lot easier said than done. It takes an entire 3 minutes before my dog whimpers turn to groaning on the wet forest floor in my human skin. Leah shifts quickly, throwing on short shorts and a sports bra, and lifts me into her heated arms. I hiss as she starts to run back towards the house, pain spreading with every step even as the tingling in my ribs that mean they are healing, start. Even as she carries me to my room, the sun still stays well below the horizon. What's wrong? Alice asks, noticing my wince as I sit down. I feel touched at her concern, but it's drowned out with annoyance of the situation. Stupid bloodsucker, I answer, tearing into one of my 3 sandwiches with renewed anger. Stupid Paul. What? Emmett asks. The blood drinker's mate came into our territory last night and the pack gave chase. Paul was an idiot and decided to lunge at her from the front as I was chasing her from behind, but she dodged and he hit me instead. Broke a few of my ribs too, and all he got was a twisted wrist. He broke some ribs. Her eyes are dark and she sounds upset. Why are you here if you're hurt? You should be in bed. Suddenly, I'm not so upset anymore and a smile pulls my lips back. Wolves heal fast. They're just tender right now. But they'll be fine completely in a few hours. She's still frowning. Still, why don't you let Carlisle check you out just in case? He's a doctor. All right. I agree easily, though reluctantly. Honestly, I don't really want the doctor to touch me, but it would make Alice feel better, and she asked me to. Plus, it will give me another excuse to go over there. What about the other vampire? Edward asks. Even though our conversation was pretty much over, I glare at him for interrupting. She got away off the cliffs over La Push. She has flaming red hair and It's like she knows our moves before we make them, I say, thinking back on what I saw through the others' minds. Dodging or turning right as we're about to attack. Alice gasps. Is she psychic? Is she the reason I can't see you because I can't see another psychic? I blink stupidly for a moment. What now? If vampires could blush, she was doing it. It was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. I'd have to try to get her to do that not a blush thing more often, but right now there are more pressing matters. I can see the future, she says slowly, based on people's decisions. If a decision changes, their future changes. But for some reason, I can't see you or the wolves. I think. I say. My imprint is so cool. I've heard about the wolves, fast healing, but this is just incredible. You said you broke them early this morning. I shift slightly, uncomfortable with his thorough examination of my body. I'm completely at ease sitting on the kitchen counter topless, it's his close ness and cold hands probing my healed ribs that make me feel odd. They don't really hurt anymore, just a sore twinge if I twist my torso too far, so the examination really is pointless. It's because Alice hovering beside me that I'm being as tolerant as I am. She has the cutest worried expression as her coven leader prods my side once again. Yeah, he hit me head on. Well, they are just fine. Thank you, I say, snatching my shirt off the table and tugging it on. I already knew that they were fine. I turn my head to my imprint, who seems reassured by the doctor's opinion, and swing my legs softly. Hey, Alice. Saying her name sends a thrill through me. She looks at me and smiles. You wanna hang out sometime? I would really love it if we can be friends. I know that she already has a mate. And it wouldn't actually be a date that we would go on, but my heart still stalls when her smile somehow grows even more in excitement. That would be amazing. She hops up and down, clasping her hands together. Nobody else really likes to go shopping with me anymore, but you don't know any better yet. We can even make a trip out of it and go down to Seattle and hit up all the stores, and even the little shops. My smile twitches as she goes on and on about shopping, and I just then start to wonder what this imprint is going to mean for me. And then I decide that I don't care, because her eyes are the brightest topaz I've ever seen, her inky locks bounce chaotically with her, and she looks so incredibly happy. Even if it means that she's going to drag me shopping every time we are together. I suddenly want to touch her. Just to brush my knuckles across her cheek, or hold her hand. I want to touch her, but I know I can't. Not yet. I have to take this slow, let her form friendship feelings, at least, first. Normal people don't instantly form a bond like an imprint the moment they see them. No, that's a wolf thing. How about this weekend? She offers. Okay, I answer instantly. I don't know if I have any plans. But if I do, I'll have to reschedule. Do you want me to pick you up? She suddenly becomes uncertain. Or, I guess I can't really go on to Quileute land without an escort. Do you want I meet me here? She seems upset about the border, and I hate the uncertainty in her expression. She should be allowed to do whatever she wants. You can pick me up, I say quickly, and her expression turns surprised. If I let them know you will be coming, it'll be fine. She slowly starts to smile again, and I relax when the excitement returns. So I'll pick you up Saturday at about 4 so. In the morning, I squeak. Of course, Seattle is a few hours away and we need the entire day to shop, especially if we are stopping for food to feed you. Okay, my voice, which has been rougher since my change, still seems unnaturally high. I don't want to get up that early, but then it doesn't matter because now she's hugging me. Yay, I need to go plan. She's gone as quickly as she came, taking her cold with her even though her scent still clings to my shirt and skin. My eyes follow her longingly before they catch sight of Jasper just in the doorway. His head is tilted curiously, examining me like I'm a fascinating puzzle. When I start to grow uncomfortable, he looks away and I go in search of Emmett to play some games. I don't yet want to go home. It's awful. I tease something that just really needs to go die in a dark dingy hole, never to see the light of day. Well, I guess a situation can't really die, but I sure wish it could. My attempt to pry my eyes open again is met in failure and a whine escapes my throat. I'm so tired. I shuffle around my shared bedroom, ignoring Leah's grumbling and sleepy complaints, with my eyes cemented closed. I grab a shirt and pants blindly, hoping they'll match, and slide them on with shaky effort. My heavy limbs are a protest all on their own, along with my mind that seems to still be trying to slide into sleep even with me on my feet. I only got 2 hours of sleep last night because of patrol, and I hate Sam all over again for not changing my times. Though, I probably shouldn't have asked right after destroying E. Miley's flower beds with a fight I started. I'm lucky I didn't go through the wall of the house. There is a knock on the front door, and I'm blinking tiredly again, unaware that I had dozed off with only one leg through the pant hole. I hurriedly pull them all the way on and stumble down the stairs to open the front door with half-lidded eyes. You own me, I grumble half-heartedly, knowing full well that this is basically what I wanted. Just does it have to be so early? Alice giggles and takes my hand in both of hers. They are shockingly cold against my feverish temperature, but it's the fact that she's holding my hand that snaps my mind suddenly alert. Come on, she says with a charming smile, you can sleep in the car. But I know that I won't, not with her excitement that magically transfers to me. Or now that she's actually here in my presence. I subtly breathe in, inhaling her paradox scent of rain and sun and honey. I'm sorry, her cheeks pale in that cute not quite a blush way. Moving to roll down the window in her shockingly yellow car. I must stink to you, right? She must have caught my subtle sniff. Not at all, I admit. You smell really amazing. Sun and rain, a perf. ECT paradox of what you are beautiful and dangerous. Her cheeks pale even more. Thank you, but you don't have to lie for me. No, really, I insist with wide earnest eyes. I lean forward, sticking my nose right into her neck and inhaling, to prove it to her. You don't smell like normal vampires to me at all. You smell incredible. I lean back into my seat before my closeness could get weird. Thank you, she says after several long moments and rolls the window back up. I must stink to you though. Rosalie says I smell like roadkill mixed with garbage with an undertone of wet dog. Alice frowns cutely. Actually, you don't. At least not to me. You just smell like the woods wild and rain damp, and some honeysuckle. It's strange because no one else in my family smells that from you. A grin splits my teeth. Does the imprint work both ways? Is it affecting her too? Excitement stirs in my belly, flipping it into knots. Could she love me too, like Emily loves Sam? I sure hope so. I do. And T really want a relationship like Claire and Quill for the rest of my existence. I would be okay with it, happy with it, but this is the first sign that we might be able to be more. But then I remember that she has a mate and any brief fantasies I might have had vanish. It takes a lot of effort to shake off the disappointment, but what I might want doesn't matter. She's all that matters. I sit up fast in my seat, looking around wildly with eyes stretched wide, surprised that I actually fell asleep. The car is still, and a quick examination suggests that it had just stopped. My eyes, without any conscious thought of doing so, meet amused liquid gold. The burn in my cheeks is automatic as I quickly swipe the drool from my face. Sorry, I stammer, utterly embarrassed for falling asleep on my imprint. She laughs musically and unbuckles. I told you that you could sleep in the car. I really didn't mind, except maybe when you started drooling on my seats. My look of horror causes her to laugh again. And if I weren't so mortified, I would have taken the time to enjoy the sound. Still, even after I realize she was just teasing me, it is hard to cover my embarrassment. Come on, puppy. I promised Esme I would feed you before we went into any store. I blanch at the nickname, having heard it many times from my pack members. But coming from her, I conclude as I watch her small frame gracefully climb from the expensive car. I wouldn't really mind it. Feed me. I question as the rest of her comment processes in my brain, and scramble out after her. You really don't have to do that, I'll be fine. She rounds the car quickly, latching onto my arm in a friendly way that makes me beam. Nonsense. Besides, this will give me a chance to ask questions. Alright, I relent easily. Do I get to ask any? She pretends to think, tilting her head in a way that all her spiky hair falls to one side in an adorable way. Her eyes glitter playfully and her lips twist into a teasing smirk. I suppose. She relents finally. My smile somehow stretches wider, and only then do I look around to see where I really am. It's a small, family-owned restaurant that looks almost swallowed by the other buildings nearby. I don't pay any attention to the rain that dampens my shoulders. I've been living with it all my life, Not to mention, I have a very pretty girl on my arm to distract me. A little bell above the door chimes as we enter. Inside is warmer than the weather we just left behind, but with my blood, I wouldn't have been bothered eating in the snow. If anything, I would be more comfortable because I'm always hot now. The stony arm trapping me actually feels nice with its cool temperature. I reluctantly settle into a booth seat after she releases me, and order a moderate amount of food. I don't want the kind girl to go broke. So tell me about your brother and sister. She asks and I immediately start to smile, because she really does want to get to know me. This isn't a question about my wolf physiology. Like I was expecting. Well, my brother's name is Seth and he is such a good kid. She listens raptly as I tell of my siblings, the things we used to get up to when we were little and how close we actually are, and how I finally ended up waking Seth up and just blurting out what I was before anyone could stop me. And she laughs and asks follow-up questions. When something particular has her curiosity piqued, she asks a lot of questions. What about you? I ask when I can't think of another story to tell and there is a pause in her questioning. I want to know about you too. She looks uncomfortable for a second, before she smiles softly and nods. What about me? What are you like around your family? What's it like to have so many siblings? And she laughs again and her slight tension completely melts as she launches into her descriptions. Carlyle's passion for his work, Esme's love for cooking even though none of the vampires need it, Edward's musical talent, Emmett's game addiction, and Rosalie's love of cars and the only person willing to go shopping with her sometimes. I learn a lot as I listen to her musical voice go on and I hardly notice myself eating when the food comes. Eventually, though, I finish my food and Alice is dragging me down the street to some shops I hadn't taken note of. Many of the shops are clothing stores, where I struggle to rein my imprint in. The trying on clothes and personal fashion show parts are surprisingly fun, but it's the spending I have a problem with. Not for her, she can buy whatever she wants. It's her wanting to buy me things that I struggle with. I don't want that to be our relationship, her buying me things and in return I'm just her friend. I don't want to seem like my time is being bought. Somehow, when I'm not looking, she still buys me one of the outfits she told me I looked charming in. Clothing stores are not the only places she takes me into. There are knickknacks, antiques, and a bookstore. We spend a good hour and a half in that one, looking over books. I even, reluctantly, allow her to buy me a few. It's after our second trip to put bought items into the cart had we come across a store reeking of artificial flowers, fruit, and other smells that someone wants to saturate themselves in. It smells absolutely dreadful, but a wicked smile pulls at my lips. Let's go in here, I offer to my date for the day. She wrinkles her nose and her brows furrow in confusion. I want to get something for Rose, I admit cheekily, just imagining the scowls and threats and insults she will throw at me if I hand her a bag of perfume from Bath & Body Works. She laughs slightly, but opens the door for me to enter. I immediately go to one of the shelves to start sniffing at the options. Alice follows at a more sedate and lazy pace. Straight away, I find a few that I like and I have a good number cradled in my arms when Alice calls softly to me. I turn to find her at one of the tables, creating an aisle between the shelves and the rest of the store. She wiggles one of the scented candles at me and needs no prompting to draw me over. Her smile is a little too wide and yes, have too much sparkle to go with smelling awful scented things, but I don't think anything of dipping my head to sniff at the fire hydrant red candle she holds out to me. My eyes water instantly even as I flinch away. A wrenching sneeze has me careening back even further, all the way into the shelves holding the glass bottles of cologne. There really is no way to stop it, even with super speed, as the shelf gives under my weight. Everything on it tumbles to the ground, shattering. The broken shelf doesn't hold me, and I, too, find myself falling to the ground as the entire wall of scents break over and on me. My nose burns painfully with all the different smells soaking into my clothes and skin. 3 more sneezes lurch my body in succession. The following quiet, except for a steady drip, 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 is deafening. I look up in horror to Alice, whose hands cover her mouth in sympathy and amusement. She looks ready to laugh. Ma'am. An employee finally comes out of shock and hurries forward to help me to my feet. She doesn't seem to know whether to demand me to leave the store immediately, or apologize for the poor shelving. She ends up excusing herself to retrieve the manager. To my eternal embarrassment, Alice quickly offers a solution to the manager, to pay for all of the bottles broken. The easy out is taken, gratefully, and then Alice ushers me out of the store before I can destroy any more products. Your face. She breaks down in laughter once the store is far behind us. Oh God, you should have seen your face. My lip juts out into a pout as she leans against a building, gasping for unneeded breath. It's not my fault, I defend weakly. You're the one that made me smell that god-awful candle. What was it, cinnamon? She nods, righting herself and latching onto my arm. The way she does it seems old-fashioned, and it very likely is something did when she was human. Looking at her, giggling and hanging from my arm, I feel something in me shift, gravity moving once again. A peace so real and certain settles around my shoulders, and I know, like Leah is my sister and Seth is my brother, that Alice will be my best friend for centuries. Alice quiets when she notices me looking, and pulls us to a stop. What? She asks, tilting her head with a soft smile. Nothing, I shake my head, a smile pulling at my lips. I'm just having fun. I'm glad we can be friends. Ah, she grins, squeezing my arm tighter to her chest. Me too. How sweet, a voice drawls. I suddenly become aware of our surroundings. We had stopped inside an alley. No humans are around at all. The alley is a very nice one. It's big, clean, and doesn't even have any graffiti on the walls. A woman drops out of the sky, landing in a crouch in front of us. Flaming red hair, corpse-pale skin, and viscous grin. I recognize her even as the sickly sweet bleach smell hits me. I shake my arm from my imprint's grip, taking a step forward to place myself closer to the human drinker. Another one, with dark skin, drops down and lands next to her. They both straighten at the same time. Victoria, the male says, voice as sooth as any vampire's. Is this the one that killed James? Yes, she purrs, seeming pleased. A low growl works its way to the back of my throat, but I hold it in, watching the enemies with narrowed eyes. I can't wait to take her apart limb from limb. Ah. The male slowly creeps forward, stepping around a large puddle until he is only a few feet away. Then, perhaps I can have her little human pet who wears far too much. He doesn't get the chance to say anything else. I lunge at him, hands outstretched and maw unfolding wide. I feel every part of me bursting at the seams, pushing past my normal skin as hair erupts from every part of me and my teeth elongate to deadly weapons. There is a metal screech as they sink into the granite skin and rip the head from its body. All this happens in less than a second without any time for anyone to react. I stand, snarling, over shredded clothes and the decapitated body. The red eye, Victoria, takes a step back with crimson orbs going wide in surprise. I start to advance toward the leech ready to kill her too, but she quickly turns and runs. Dodging my snapping teeth. Bella. Alice calls as I move to chase, and my legs lock in response to my imprint's voice. The faint sound of her quick feet alert me to her approach. And she's then running her hand soothingly over my bristled fur. I shake my head and snort unhappily, not stopping my prey from getting away, but then my imprint is cradling my face and pressing her forehead to mine. You can't chase her, people will see you. I sigh lowly, knowing she's right, and allow the shift to melt away until I feel her cold skin against my hot skin. My hands lean forward to place over hers and hold her there for just a second longer. She pulls away first, ushering me away from the opening of the alley. Thank you, she says softly. I don't know that I could have taken them if I were alone. You don't need to thank me, I tell her, going to the headless corpse and ripping his limbs apart. I toss each one into the empty dumpster, grimacing as venom splashes onto my skin. I'd die for you. A quick search of my tattered jeans finds the lighter I always carry around, which I flick to life. The leech goes up in quick flames. When I turn to Alice, she's just staring at me with an odd expression. She shifts, then moves to the end of the alley. You stay here. I'll get you some clothes. She disappears before I can blink. Is this okay? I ask doubtfully, tugging on the black vest that Alice said made me look charming. The white t-shirt underneath is closer to something that I would wear, but the black slacks are the nicest piece of clothing that has ever touched my skin. Alice turns back to face me, grinning at my assemble. It's perfect. Although, I follow her lowered gaze to my bare feet, which I shuffle nervously and scuff my toe through the dirt and broken glass. We'll have to fix that before you step on something, but we should head back and update the others on what happened. And maybe you could take a bath. I grimace at my own smell and though I have grown slightly accustomed to the constant overwhelming pain in my nose. Currently, I can't smell any vampire threat, but as luck would have it, apparently they can't smell me either. I bite my lip in thought. The red-headed leech won't be fooled twice, not after I killed her coven mate and Alice killed her mate. I somehow doubt she will give up on revenge. No, Victoria will be back. Kay with a plan and more dangerous than ever. Bella. Alice questions, placing her hand on my arm to draw my attention away from the smoldering dumpster. Let's go, I say. This isn't the end of that particular vampire. She will be planning now and she knows that at least one shifter is protecting you. I lead the way out of the alley and back towards her car. My eyes and ears strain double time with my nose out of commission. And my muscles are taut with the weariness of a second attack. We are soon on the way back, silence stretching between us. Alice clears her throat, glancing at me from the driver's seat. I had fun today. Before the whole, attack thing. I snicker, flashing my grin at her. Me too. Though to be honest, that was kind of fun as well. Alice's laugh is like bells. You looked pretty cool when you ripped his head off. You should have seen their faces. It made my existence. I live to please. We share another smile before she once again turns her attention back to the road. Can I borrow your phone? I ask, noticing the device sticking out of her back pocket. She hands it over without a glance and I quickly dial a familiar number. Hello, Sam, it's me. Alice and I ran into trouble in Seattle and we're on our way back. We know what the redhead leech is after now, Alice. Apparently the vampire she saved Seth from was her mate and she wants revenge. I killed her coven mate in the encounter but she'll be back. That thing is after your imprint. Sam growls, no doubt imagining Emily is the target instead. Yeah, my eyes dart to the seat next to me, neither of us were even touched. I'll gather the pack and let them know. Don't worry, Bella, we'll keep her safe. My face softens. Thanks, Sam. I click the end call button, wordlessly handing it back over to Alice. All good? She asks. Yeah. Jasper's paw. Something has changed. Jasper had been so sure that what he felt coming from the wolf was something unchanging, but he was wrong. The devotion is still there, for sure. It is still so intense and bordering obsessive, the protectiveness and love he feels coming from her, but it's not the same kind as when he last saw her. He doesn't quite understand it. These unpredictable and strong emotions, but as long as that protective instinct for his sister remains the strongest sentiment, he won't say anything. He watches absently at his best friend's gesturing hands and the wolf shifter standing dutifully just behind her right shoulder, looking very serious. He hears the words that are being spoken, but the connection between the two new friends is far more interesting. The way Alice's own endearments are being affected so drastically and quickly hints to him that this connection isn't being made quite the same way normal bonds are formed. Still, he doesn't voice his observations, feeling that whatever he is witnessing, it isn't harmful or dangerous to his sister. I was wondering if, you'd like to ask me to girls' choice dance. I blink at the fumbling boy, baffled. My eyes shift to his gaggle of giggling friends before back to his wide blue eyes. He's a decent-looking boy, what most girls would call cute. He has nice hair, I have to reluctantly acknowledge. He shifts uneasily and offers a hopeful quirk of lips. No, I say bluntly. His tentative smile drops. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just go. He turns and walks away. Head down and cheeks flaming, back to his waiting friends. They surround him, hooting and smacking him on the back. Well, that was amusing. I turn to my new friend, and roll my eyes at her teasing smile. For you maybe. To me it's just sad. You broke the poor boy's heart. Alice links her arm through mine and tugs me into the slow walk to the parking lot, the destination we were headed when the boy nervously approached me. Somehow I think he'll get over it. I deadpan, opening the door absently for Alice before climbing into the passenger seat. Why'd you say no? She asks, and by the tone of her voice, I conclude that she's asking me for real. My eyebrows furrow. You mean besides the fact that I'm gay? She glances at me, embarrassed for forgetting. I don't fault her, though. It isn't exactly a topic we have actually discussed in the few weeks of our friendship. The knowledge just kind of sits there untouched upon. I won't ever date anyone, I admit after a moment. Her eyes return to my face. Surprised and curious. Why not? Humans, I start slowly, unsure of how to word or describe my thoughts on imprinting. Humans are not truly monogamous. They fall in and out of love so easily and can take many mates throughout their lifetime. Wolves are better. There is no question of who we are supposed to be with, there is no choice or second guessing. When we meet our mate, it's instant. We just know, and there will never be anyone else to us. And the other person, I assume they wouldn't be wolf. What if they don't return the feelings? I bite my lip, trying to think of a way to better describe it. For us, it's not like love at first sight, really. It's like gravity moves suddenly. It's not the earth holding you here anymore, she does and you become whatever she needs you to be. Whether that's a protector, a brother, a best friend, a lover. He imprinted on a 2-year-old. He has no romantic feelings for her. He might one day, if Claire ever wanted more. Or he might forever just be the best friend as she grows up, falls in love, and marries someone else, and he would be the best friend anybody could ever have. That sounds kind of sad. Maybe to an outsider. I admit. What about if they die? Can't they love someone else, even if it's not as much? All the blood rushes out of my face, leaving me dizzy at just the thought. I clutch the door handle tightly. No. An imprint means everything to a wolf. If that imprint dies, a wolf can't survive that. It would be in so much pain that it would eventually find a way to kill itself. It's why harming another wolf's mate is forbidden, the highest offense. By our laws, if the imprint is hurt or is killed, the wolf of the imprint has the right to challenge the other to a fight to the death. Alice stares at me from across the console, unmoving. We had arrived at her house a little while ago, but neither one of us moved to get out. I finally break her gaze and look out the window to the big house. Imprinting is supposed to be rare, though, and it usually works out. It's not a sad thing to most of us, it's a gift. Do you think it's a gift? Even if the imprint doesn't return the romantic feelings? Absolutely. Hey, look at this, I cheer, turning the paper the teacher just passed to me, around. A+. Rosalie blinks at me. Did you doubt? Nope, I grin. We make beautiful babies. The blonde rolls her eyes. That's because Francine takes after me. My jaw drops at her teasing. We are not naming our little girl Francine. Do you want her to get bullied all through high school? Rose scowls at me, offended. Francine is a beautiful name. It's elegant. No, no, I tell her. Anything but that. Okay, fine, she crosses her arms. What do you want to name her then? Bella Jr. I say immediately. I want a divorce. I throw my head back laughing. Quite a few heads turn, but they don't bother me as I grin over at the normal stoic or scowling vampire. She is smiling now, just slightly, and it's enough to tell me that she, too, enjoys our little banters. I hold the red ball lightly in the very tips of my fingers so as not to pop it. I look at it wearily. Then across the gym to the several people running around. Other balls fly past, smacking the floor, smacking the bleachers, and occasionally hitting a person. A long line of people already sitting in the front row of stands, eagerly watching the game, or rather, watching me, alone, against half of the other team in a mundane game of dodgeball. Normally this wouldn't be so much of a problem. But I turned wolf almost 5 months ago, and I'm still new to the whole, everything else is much more fragile, especially humans thing. It wasn't really a problem back on the reservation. Because the elders were just able to get me out of PE as I adjusted, but they don't have any pull on the outside world. So far I've managed to just stay out of the way, doing the barest minimum of participation. Now, I'm representing my dodgeball team against the enemy. All eyes are on me, and so is all the aim. I squeeze the ball experimentally, lightly, and toss it to the other hand. Maybe if I throw really lightly. After all, I can't let my whole team down. I raise my arm, feeling a little more confident in my ability to participate, when there is a whistling and wham. The force on my shoulder spins me. And I hit the floor. The humans, cringing in sympathy pain. I look up with wide eyes, meeting a pair of sparkling topaz. She hit me. She full-on vampire hit me. With a red rubber ball. My lip juts out into a pout as she approaches, but she only coos when she sees it. That hurt, I whine. I'm sorry, she babies, placing the back of her cold hand against the spot she nailed me. I really didn't mean to hit you that hard. It really doesn't hurt all that bad, or at all really since it already healed, but I continue pouting, enjoying the attention. Come on, let's go sit down. She helps lift me to my feet and leads me to the first row of bleachers. You alright, Bella? Coach Clapp asks as I pass him. Yeah, I'm fine, I admit. Just wanted Alice to feel guilty a little longer. My friend immediately drops her hands, scowling as I grin at her. I lean in so only she can hear. Shifter healing, remember, Nayeli. Her expression turns to that of curiosity. What does that word mean? It's Quileute, right? I nod, smiling secretively. It's just a name for you. She rolls her eyes, standing up. Well, are you going to fake injury the rest of class? Oh. Or are you going to come back out and get you butt kicked again? My eyes narrow at the challenge, and I rise instantly. Oh, it's on now. I don't have to hold back against you. Her eyes swirl with liquid gold. And her teeth bear a teasing grin. Give me your best shot. See, look, can't you see it? I raise my head slightly, turning it in the direction of the voice, but my focus remains firmly on the papers scattered around me. There has been a backlog on my homework and now all the procrastination is catching up. Yup, it's so obvious, I agree distractedly, trying to mentally calculate 6-8. There is a pause. Bella. Seth whines, you're not even looking. What? I ask, snapping my head up. My baby brother stands at the doorframe, back against it and measuring himself against old lines we used to mark our height every year on our birthday. I'm taller, he tells me excitedly. Of course you are, it's been like 3 years since we last used that to measure ourselves. No, he insists. I'm growing. Look, last week I was right here, he points at a new mark one hadn't noticed, before moving his finger up a centimeter, and now I'm here. I look at the boy oddly. So, he says, striding forward with a large grin. So I'm growing. You all grew before shifting for the first time, so I'm going to be next. I'm going to be part of the pack. I give him a look saying he's nuts. Then I sigh. You already are part of the pack, Seth, you're one of us even if you don't shift. But I want to be Wolf, he tells me earnestly, flopping onto the couch cushion beside me and spilling some of my papers. He gives no indication that he even notices, staring up at the ceiling. I want to be like you and Leah. I want to really be part of the pack, in the pack, and on patrol and all the stuff you get to do. I soften, putting my work aside to scoot closer and push my hand through his hair. He cut it recently, to look like one of the wolves. You might one day, I tell him gently. But right now you're just a kid. You've still got some growing up to do, not just physically. He sighs miserably. I know. I just can't wait, it's going to be so cool. I smile as he gets up and starts to walk away. Hey, did you finish your homework? I call after him. He bolts. Seth. My heavy paws creak on the porch steps, making me wince and quickly shift to my human skin, shaking like I still have my pelt. I enter the big house, and am immediately met by 2 golden-eyed vampires. Hey Emmett, Rose. You guys on your way out? Are you a nudist or something? Rosalie asks me dryly. I shift under her gaze, unashamed, and grin. Jealous of my body, Rosie. Do you want some tips? She smiles slightly, rolling her eyes. I have some clothes upstairs. Is Alice? Never mind. I grin as the tiny pixie appears at the bottom of the steps. She frowns when she sees me, which surprises me. Why are you naked? I blink. I've been naked several times around her and her family. And other than the initial surprise, it's never been an issue. My clothes must have snagged a branch on the way over. I was just going to use some of the clothes I have over here. I've never been embarrassed about my nudity before, but her disapproving frown has me wilting. What's your problem? Rosalie seems to find her reaction strange as well, and I'm startled that she says anything at all in my defense. Even if we have been more friendly. Her eyes dart over to her siblings loitering by the door, and she's gone and back in a blink, standing between us and holding up a large blanket as a barrier. I gape at her disbelievingly, and truly baffled. What? Go, she shoos me, making me stumble on the stairs. Before you give a show to the rest of my family. You really shouldn't walk around them naked anymore. Alice, I ask, even more confused. Go, She continues pushing me with the curtain. Go get dressed. But, no buts, just go. Alright, I'm going. Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your nakedness to yourself. And don't go walking around those boys in your pack all naked either. I have to, Alice. So, I drawl as I float closer to Alice on my stomach. She sits in the shallow part of the river, just letting the current run sluggishly around her shoulders. My fingers skim the muddy bottom, keeping my body afloat as the same current tries to guide my unanchored half away on the lazy river. She looks up as I crawl over to her. You going to the dance? Do vampires even go to high school dances? She smiles at me, amusement dancing in her yellow topaz eyes. Rose and Emmett like to go and flaunt their relationship to the humans. I usually drag Jasper along with me so I'm not left alone when those two decide to go have sex in the locker room. Or the bathroom. Or on the principal's desk. My cheek flush at her blunt words while she continues to grin at me unabashed. He would much rather stay at home like Edward though. He's not comfortable around humans. So what you're saying is, I flip over to sit beside my friend in the freezing water. My natural body heat keeps me warm, while she doesn't have any herself. He wouldn't mind if you were my date to the dance instead. He might kiss you, she laughs, and then falls over laughing even harder as my nose wrinkles in disgust. Then I let a smile twitch at my lips as I send small icy waves splashing into her face. She sputters for a moment before her eyes narrow playfully and she lunges for me, tackling me farther into the water's depths. I shift restlessly in my chair, the old wood creaking, but it holds. These chairs have been tipped and tossed so many times under shifter fury, but they still hold strong even as I clench and unclench my hands over the armrests. The toll and missing persons are only rising in Seattle. We know Victoria is there, it has to be her. Sam grunts in acknowledgement, his large hand covering half his face, pinching the bridge of his nose. Jared draws my ire as he sighs. Probably. But one vampire can't be killing all those people. Even more reason to go hunting. Take the fight to her. If she's calling on reinforcements, it's best that we strike first before all of them arrive. It's our job to protect people, so let's go protect our people. You wanna start a war in the streets of Seattle? Embry scoffs. There's no way we won't be seen by someone. It's better than sitting here idly while more and more vampires congregate a city over, planning to wipe out my imprint. Isn't this exactly why we are shifters? To hunt down vampires that threaten our people. We have to. Enough. My jaw snaps shut, clenching and refusing to open even as I want to argue further. Fury coils in my chest, and I glower angrily at my alpha A. As he slowly lowers himself back into his seat. His voice is still gravely and harsh, though the power behind his words are now lacking the magic that forced my mouth shut at his utterance. Our people are here on the reservation. That is who we protect, and leaving to start a war in the streets of Seattle would leave it vulnerable. For now, we continue to wait. I snarl, standing harshly and kicking my chair back and away. It clatters backward loudly, but as always, it strongly holds together. If it was your imprint she was hunting, you know you wouldn't have us just sitting here and waiting for her to sneak past our defenses. I've never felt such anger, such desperation, choking me and burning through my body. My entire body vibrates as I roar, lifting the chair I had kicked away and slam it down on the table. The others sitting around it wince as the resilient chair splinters to shards and I whirl and sprint outside. My heel hardly passes the threshold before my transformation takes me and I'm thundering through the underbrush of the woods on a familiar trail that takes me across the border. My anger carries my paws and clouds my vision. The trees standing in my path fall under my powerful claws and wait until I come to a halt, legs braced apart and quivering. Even as wolf, my body still vibrates. I huff with the effort to control my volatile emotions, because all I want to do is go to my imprint. But I can't. Not like this, not while I'm strung so high I can't tell where the ground is. Bella. A fairy bell voice calls hesitantly. Gravity moves, pulling me back down O earth and to the being whom I orbit and long for. Alice stands a few yards away, worry shining in her eyes with one hand braced against a still-standing tree. I go to her immediately, shoving my head into her chest and inhaling her scent. I let it waft around me, calming me further, as she clutches as my head to hold herself upright. She silently allows me to rub on her, petting me gently over my cheek and behind my ears. Eventually I'm calm enough to let my transformation fall away, and I clutch at her back desperately as my eyes burn with tears of frustration. She just continues to pet my head as I press my nose into her neck, hushing me whenever my throat accidentally convulses and lets out a choked noise. Her other hand circles around my waist. My body tenses as something is draped over my shoulders. But it's just a blanket. Alice pulls away gently, but to me it feels like she's ripped violently from my arms. I feel pathetic, sniffling as my arms drop limply to my sides as she too CKs the blanket securely around me to cover me from the world. She nods slightly to Rosalie, who had been the one to bring out the blanket, before turning me and guiding me to the house. I had almost made it to the tree line before I stopped to desecrate the forest. Sorry, I mumble, embarrassed as she closes the door to her soundproof room. It's all right, she says softly, fussing with the edge of my blanket before going to my spare drawer where I keep some emergency clothes. It's constantly in need of being restocked, which Alice takes pleasure in doing, even though I finally convinced he so stop getting expensive stuff that's just going to get torn soon after being worn. You wanna tell me what happened? She requests from her bed after I have changed. Just pack stuff, I grumble, flopping onto the mattress and turning towards the small vampire. I tug at her wrist gently until she moves to lay down beside me, entwining our loosely linked fingers. They don't want to take the GHT to Victoria before she builds up enough allies to come after you. They want to just wait even though more and more people are dying. What? The pixie looks startled. My eyebrows furrow. Well, with all the deaths and missing people, it's too much to just be caused by one vampire. We figure that she's bringing in reinforcement from somewhere to come after you. Fear shines in her eyes, but before I can try to reassure her that I won't let anything happen to her, she says shakily, or she's making them. Alice's paw. Imprint. The word floats around my head often. It's what a wolf does when it meets its soul mate. It will never love another, never leave its imprint, protect it from anything, be in their life in any way that they'll have them. The whole thing is very romantic. It's also what Sam called me over the phone call in Seattle. Bella's imprint. As soon as I crossed the border to save Bella's brother that day, my future disappeared. It became blurry and confusing and uncertain. And it scared, no, terrified me. Until I realized that the reason I couldn't see my future was because I can't see wolves, and Bella is a wolf, and she is in my future. At first, I just thought that it would be as friends. Best friends maybe. But then Seattle happened and I found out what an imprint is and that I am Bella's imprint. Her soul mate. The one she will never turn away from, never hurt. Whose sole purpose in life is to make happy. And I still thought, maybe, that it would still be in the way as just friends. I can tell that she loves me. I don't have to have Jasper's powers to tell. And everything that she does and says is just so charming that, if I had a pulse, it would have quickened every time she smiles at me. I can't help but be caught up in the idea of an imprint, and me being one to Bella. And it's just so damn romantic. And the fact that she also has a really nice body is not helping to keep the feelings platonic. Now if only I can get her to stop walking around other people naked as her imprint. And it being her job to make me happy, you'd think that I could get her to stop, at least, walking around in front of my family without a stitch of clothing. If say comments on her butt one more time, I swear I'm going to rip her arm off. I know she only does it to tease me, but still. At least she doesn't do it in front of Bella because I just know that then of course Bella would flirt back even if it is in a joking way and she's mine, damn it. I want her. Now I just have to tell her. Eventually. I glance around the room at my family, trying to focus back into the conversation. Now isn't the time to be thinking about this. Attempting to shake off my thoughts, I tune back in as Bella reveals the pack's suspicions about what is happening, their take on it. And then my own idea that the vampires flooding the area are being made rather than recruited. Everyone in my family is familiar with Jasper's history, and I glances over at him now in concern. We will have to train. Carlyle decides with a frown and glances at the shifter hovering close to my side. She still trembles slightly in leftover fury. Can you set up a meeting with the wolves? Nay. W-borns are not like the normal vampires you might have come across. You all will need to train as well. Bella nods, reaching for a pen and piece of paper. I can give you Sam's personal number. I'm S. You're that he would agree to train with you. Carlisle quickly leaves to make the call, leaving the rest of the room in a tense silence. The only sound is of the girl's steady heartbeat sitting beside me. I rise to my feet, drawing the she-wolf's attention to my outstretched hand. Why don't we go for a walk? I suggest, and the girl's apprehensive expression instantly melts into that of a smile. Bella's paw. Alice will never forgive me. I blanch, looking in horror at the outfit set out before me. I thought you said you had a suit I could borrow. There it is. My cousin says happily, Leaf. Ting up the shirt to lay against his chest. See, it even has a bow tie. He waves at the printed-on tuxedo graphic on the t-shirt. Leah falls over in loud, soul-crushing laughter. Jake, have you not been paying attention at all to how Alice is? You've seen her in my head 1,000 times. She will never forgive me if I show up for the dance wearing this. She will never want to go out in public with me again. Ah, come on Bells. Jacob says, shoving the shirt further in my face. The pixie adores you. She won't after I show up wearing this. I exclaim, feeling my world crashing down around me. Leah falls off the bed, face red and tears squeezing out of her eyes. I ignore her as she gasps for air. Well, you have to wear something, Seth says amicably, perched on my own bed and watching with a slight frown. This is something you'd wear anyway, right? And she already likes you enough to agree being your date. That poor sweet innocent boy. Not for something like this, I moan miserably. Seth was right about one thing though. I have to wear something. Which is why I find myself with a sheepish smile and walking from my bike up to the Cullen's door with my hands shoved deep into the pockets of my nicest pair of jeans. The door is yanked open by Rosalie, looking like a goddess in her red dress. She looks me over critically, a sneer twisting her lips. I thought something like this might happen. She huffs and then yanks me inside by the wrist before I can so much as offer an excuse. Or a hello. I'm dragged none too gently up the stairs to the blonde's room before she is flinging me inside with snapped, change. Before the door slams shut behind me. Oh, thank God, I breathe when I see the perfectly tailored suit waiting for me on the bedspread. I knew I could always count on Rose. I quickly pull on the four-piece, the vest, a navy blue in color, taking just a second to admire the quality of the fabric. I don't think my skin has ever touched something so expensive. Even with Alice dragging me shopping every other week. I'll have to be extra careful not to tear them. When I'm finished and open the door, Rosalie takes one look at me and drags me back into the room. Then she's pulling my hair out of the braid and throwing it up into a high ponytail that spills in waves past my shoulders. After a pause, looking over her work, she gives a short nod and then shoves me out of her room. There. That's the best I can do. At least you won't die now. Thank you, I breathe, and I think actual tears spring to the corners of my eyes. She rolls her eyes in good hum. Or before striding past me back down the stairs to the entrance hall. I follow at a more sedate pace with a new bounce in my step. Bella's paw. The dance is underwhelming to say the least. Balloons hon. G in clusters and twisting strands from the gymnasium ceiling. There are enough flashing lights to give anyone a seizure. And a bunch of tables are spaced around the edges to create a centerpiece for a dance floor. It's all normal. Strange in that there is nothing strange about it. When did the supernatural, wolves and vampires, become more ordinary than this? When did fantasy start becoming the reality and normal life the dream? How can anything out here, outside the forest, feel important if it doesn't have to do with fantastical beings, war, vampiric revenge, and fighting for your and everyone you care about's life? Shaking off the brief disconnect, I almost immediately start dragging Alice to the snack table, but even that is disappointing in its mundaneness. There is a small variety of chips, cookies, some finger sandwiches, and a giant bowl of punch that one sees Tyler hovering conspicuously near with a metal flask. Of course you'd go straight for the food, Alice giggles at my side, and I sheepishly turn back to her. Rubbing at the back of my neck. Sorry, I laugh. It's quite all right. The small vampire links her arm through mine. You need to eat. Did you want anything? Nah. I glance over the selection one more time. This food isn't fit to even be a snack. And it's really not. Being a supernatural creature means having a supernatural stomach. Now, no matter how I always seem to still be hungry. These tiny finger sandwiches with a single slab of meat would do nothing to curb my appetite. I glance at the cluster of people, more like a mosh pit, on the dance floor. Rosalie and Emmett seem to be at the center of it, dancing something elaborate, with a ring of space seeming to follow them as they move. They seem to pay no mind at all to the humans MPing and laughing and all together having a good time around them. Would you like to dance? I ask doubtfully, turning back to my date for the night, relaxing as she gives me a radiant smile. I would love to, kind lady. She responds with a curtsy before all but dragging me away. We don't go far, more of just hover on the outside of the dance floor, well away from the thickest of the student body. It's here that we twirl and spin and just straight up ignore the actual god-awfully loud music blasting from the speakers. Have I told you yet, that you look handsome in this suit? Alice asks, as she spins into my arms. I think we are doing some old-fashioned ballroom dance, or maybe a mixture of them. All I know is that I've never had this much fun at a school dance before. Once or twice, I grin down at her, swaying side to side with her back pressed against my front. A deep bass drums from the speakers to some popular pop song. I twirl her away, unhurriedly, and then she's twirling me. And I can do nothing more except trust and follow her lead. It's just, she says, gripping my hands, and then I think we are doing the jitterbug with fast movements, turns, and elation explodes in my chest as she effortlessly spins and pulls and tugs me every which way. I'm a bit impressed. I half expected you to show up in a t-shirt with a tuxedo graphic. Sweat beads on the back of my neck. That's just ridiculous. I laugh nervously. Who would do such a thing? Yes, who indeed? Rosalie deadpans, twirling past with Emmett who has more grace than I ever though the burly man-child could have. I get next dance with Bella Bear. He calls as they disappear, actually waltzing, back into the throng of people. What was that about? Alice asks, raising an eyebrow. I have no idea, I lie. Hoping she doesn't notice the sudden perspiration coating my hands. She says disbelievingly before seemingly deciding to let it go. Anyway, I'm really glad that you asked me to come with you. This is the most fun that I've had at a school dance. I usually have to look out for Jasper and make sure nothing happens. Does he really have that much trouble around humans? I ask, almost unconsciously. We move into a slow dance that is simply swaying back and forth and turning in a circle. He has the most trouble out of all of us. Probably because he doesn't just feel his own bloodlust, but all of ours too. How so? I ask, feeling intrigued. None of them ever talk about the need for blood. I don't know if it's for the Lapush shifters sake, or if it's a bit of a taboo. Oh, Alice says, surprised. I never told you. Jasper is an empath. Damn. An empath, a psychic, and a mind reader. This is a powerful family. If it was any other coven, one that I haven't gotten to know these past 3 months, it would make me skittish. How did you meet? I ask, curiosity burning to know how my imprint met her mate. An amused smirk settles over her pouty lips. I found him actually. When I woke up after I was changed. I didn't have any memory from my human life. But I had visions. I had a vision of Jasper, and the Cullens, of being a family, so I went looking for them. I had a vision of finding him in a bar. So I went there. We shared our stories, mine much shorter than his, and then we set off in search of our new family. When we found them, I walked straight up to them and told them I was moving in. I can see her doing that, bouncing up to complete strangers, all smiles, and announcing that they were now her people. Only, it's a little scary that if she didn't have visions, I would have never met her. Maybe she wouldn't even be a vegetarian, and when we did meet, it'd be right before my pack tore off her head, just as our eyes met. A cold chill races down my spine at how my entire happiness, my entire world, seemed to come about because of a self-fulfilling prophecy nearly 80 years ago. I'm very glad you found your family, I say, squeezing her waist slightly. Even Jasper. I never interact with him much, about as much as I do Edward, but he is always polite even if he is curious. I would even say that he's borderline sweet, especially with Alice. He's a good match for her. I can now grudgingly admit. Alice's answering smile is so sweet as she opens her mouth, but then I'm ripped away from her and in the arms of a man-child. Emmett twirls and twirls me. So much that I start to feel nauseous as we plunge into the throng of people, but we don't get crushed. They still keep a distance that probably has less to do with his vampirism and more to do with not wanting to get mowed down. Emmett, I screech as he practically tosses me into the air and catches me. It's like he's not even trying to hide his supernaturalness. Even though I'm still far smaller than him. Being a wolf naturally means that I'm not small. No matter how big he is, any human would still have trouble pulling off the moves he's doing with ease. Yet, no one looks twice at him other than to dodge out of the way. When we finally stop, it's only a few minutes later, but I have to brace one hand against a wall, hunching forward slightly in queasiness. Oorga, I groan as he just laughs at me. Alice quickly appears at my side, looking concerned. Are you all right? She asks, placing her cool hand along the back of my neck. It actually feels really nice, but I don't get to enjoy it very long. Because then Rosalie is there, grabbing my arm and tugging me back towards the dance floor. My turn now, she announces, completely ignoring both my protests and my imprints. Alice, however, is unable to save me as Emmett then turns his dancing sights on the pixie. I relax slightly when I realize that Rosalie's dancing is much tamer than her mates, however not all of my anxiety disappears. Rosalie wanting to dance with me at all is very odd, and I'm proven right when the first words she says are, "We need to talk." I gulp slightly under her glare, not having had this level of absolute disgust directed at me in a while from her. At my unease, her glare softens slightly, though not by much and not for long. "You love Alice, correct?" she asks, and with just that question, I wither. "Yes," I admit, "she's become my best friend. But are you in love with her?" I hesitate, wrestling with the answer to that question. In a way, I am, but I'm also not. I'm in a limbo. I definitely love her, and will most certainly do anything for her, but in love with her. No, I answer, what I think is, honestly. I can't truly fall for her until I know that's what she wants from me. Rosalie's eyes sharpen and flash. And I don't know why, but I feel like I failed some kind of test. Though, I don't know why she would have wanted the other answer. Shouldn't it be a good thing that I'm not in love with a taken woman? Why not? Didn't you do that weird imprint thing on her? She asks urgently. I feel a flash of surprise and panic. How does she know? Does Alice know? That's not how imprinting works. I try to say as calmly as possible, but my voice wavers. This was such a fun, carefree night, too. My feelings change to reflect whatever she wants. I'm just a friend, so that's what I am. It's complicated. Her eyes narrow. Well then you better tell your feelings to get up to speed and get uncomplicated, because it's not going to be long now until she snaps. Wait, what? Wait, are you saying she likes me? I stop dancing, standing stock still in the middle of the gymnasium as the rest of the humans continue on with their normal, mundane lives, at their normal, mundane school dance. That has nothing to do with soul bonds, vampires, or werewolves. No shit, Rosalie snarks, though her face has softened back into her normal mask of disdain, rather than that terrifying glare. But, I sputter, trying to shuffle the pieces into some semblance of order that makes sense. What, you think your dog stench is so disgusting that no one can possibly love you? Not that I can blame you for thinking that. I ignore the dig, as I always do. But, I thought she and Jasper were mates. Her ichor eyes blink slowly at me, face completely blank for a full minute in which each second triples my anxiety. I can't do this, she shakes her head before turning and walking away. I give up, you are impossible. Why do I even try? I gape as she's swallowed by the humans, left by myself as the music finally turns to a halfway decent slow song. The couples pair off, and I end up standing awkwardly in the middle of swaying sweethearts, alone. She didn't even answer my question. Does that mean that Alice and Jasper aren't mates? Jasper's paw, observing Alice and Bella each time he sees them has become kind of like a game. The bond and their feelings for each other are always changing. Emotions in general are never truly stagnant, but they are normally fairly consistent. Watching these two, he never knows how it will differ. When Jasper first met Bella, her emotions were all over the place. But she was very clearly over the moon in love and devotion. The devotion is always there, but the love shifted unnaturally quickly into something resembling friendship. Intense devotional friendship, but friendship nonetheless. When neither girl is around, the word, imprint, is whispered among the family, explained quietly by Edward, guiltily plucked and shared from Alice's mind in a moment of concern for their sister. With the new term and explanation, the feelings on the she-wolf's end make much more sense, though still baffling to witness as only he can. Alice is a bit more bizarre. Without the excuse of the imprint bond the wolf feels. There is definitely a pull, but to what extent, he can't tell. Alice's bonds have always been complicated because of her visions. She cheats in a way, see the kind of relationship they will one day have, and jumps all in with all the feelings already formed. The other person is left playing catch up, forming the bonds more natural. As Alice is left impatiently waiting for the kind of relationship she's already seen. It's amusing to see the shoe on the other foot, he thinks, with the wolf's feelings instantaneous while Alice is the one now playing catch up. She had the normal feelings of excitement for a new friend, and a bond formed, fast but still natural, but then something shifted, and her emotions became chaotic. Jealousy suddenly became a common emotion. Alongside hope, confusion, anticipation, lust, worry, happiness, concern, and eagerness. It became a game to guess which emotion will present itself from Bella's emotions. Though always strong, became more sure and secure in the role of friendship. But he becomes shocked once again when, after weeks of stability, the wolf's emotions are once again often unsure and hopeful of something more, while also feeling guilty and confused. He wonders what could have possibly happened at the dance weeks ago to shake her up so badly when they seem to finally be settling. Their unstable emotions almost give him a headache sometimes, but it's just so fascinating to watch the bond of an imprint up close trying to find its way to a stable forever. Or maybe the bond will always be shifting and changing. Gods, he hoped not. He couldn't put up with this tiptoeing back and forth for forever. He might actually have to get involved. The strange thing is, Alice has never hesitated before in her actions, so it is wildly out of character for her to be doing so now. Then again, she's always been able to see the outcome, hasn't she? And she can't see Bella. In a way, it makes sense for her to hesitate now. As Alice departs to meet up with Bella at their place at the river's border, her excitement is screaming to even the non-empaths, and Jasper can't help but grow frustrated with this seemingly never-ending game. Bella's paw. I paddle slowly through the water, feeling the cool caress drag through my fur. Swimming is my favorite thing to do as a wolf, I think, besides running. Or wrestling. Or just sitting there and listening to the forest. Okay, so I love everything about being wolf, but swimming is really nice. Especially with my imprint using me as a flotation device. Sprawled out on my back as she gazes up at the treetops. The river isn't very wide, and not very deep. My toes graze the muddy bottom with each kick, but it's the perfect place to relax like this. I like that I don't have to continuously keep up a conversation with her, that she is just content to lounge around, completely at ease with both of my forms. It makes my heart soar every time I realize just how amazing my imprint is. I can't imagine being able to do half the things we do together if she were human. Every day, every hour, every minute, I'm so grateful that she was there that day. That she saved Seth, that I was the one to come upon her and our eyes locked. I lazily keep paddling upstream, unconcerned that my efforts only result in me swimming in place. At the moment, there is no destination, and I like that just fine. Glancing over my shoulder, I see Alice lounged peacefully on my back, arms crossed behind her head, and her eyes are closed as if she had dozed off. But I know that isn't possible. A ray of sunlight briefly breaks through the cloud and tree cover, sending her skin into a shower of sparkling diamonds. I think that I like not being able to see you. Alice admits suddenly, eyes still closed as she basks in the rare sun. She wears a bikini which allows almost her entire body to light up, making her look even more otherworldly than usual. I answer her with a questioning rumble in my chest. I've so rarely been surprised before I met you, now it happens so often and it's kind of thrilling. Scary too, but I think I'll like not knowing what's going to happen before it happens all the time. Even when I'm with you, everything else is much quieter, too, unless I search for it. I never knew how much I lived in the future. Until I suddenly found myself having to live in the present. I make a happy noise resembling a purr, my chest feeling so light that I could float away, and Alice giggles, voice so sweet that it hurts. Gods, I love this girl. At this moment, it doesn't matter in what shape that love takes. Feeling suddenly mischievous, and Alice still none the wiser with her peaceful countenance and closed eyes, I roll to the side. She gasps in surprise as she is abruptly dislodged and plunged into the cold water. She comes up sputtering, but she's also laughing in delight as she lunges at me, wrestling in tight and unsuccessfully trying to dunk my head. We end up scrambling to the bank before she finally pins me, though I wasn't truly putting up much of a fight. Come now, she tisks, sprawled out in my wet, matted belly fur. I want to scold human you right now. I immediately shift, without putting up any resistance, and we are suddenly chest to chest, skin to skin, and I enjoy the proximity as I grin up at her. She doesn't react to my sudden nudity. There is no one here but her for her to grumble about, except maybe the not a blush thing she sometimes does. That was not a very nice thing to do. Tipping me into the water like that, she admonishes lightly. The smile tugging at her lips reveal that I shouldn't take her scolding very seriously. I thought you liked my ability to surprise you, I mouth back, unrepentant. Nice surprises, she says, eyes narrowing playfully. I like nice surprises. Oh, well, you should have said that. I brush off, and she gives a playful growl, sit. Ting up to press my shoulders into the ground. With the new space between us, something strange happens. Her gold honey eyes flicker down, trailing over my body in a very deliberate way that makes my pulse spike and anxiety to overcome me. When her eyes come back up to mine, suddenly an onyx color, I turn my face away, cheeks flushing with a blush that continues to crawl down my neck and farther. It's almost like I shut the thought down hard, forcing the hope down, and guilt crawls up to settle in my chest. I haven't yet asked Alice directly if she and Jasper are mates. Rosalie reacted poorly when I asked her. And I don't feel like much embarrassing myself if the answer truly is obvious one way or another. When I first met them, I was sure that they were mates. It was obvious. Now I'm not so sure. And I don't want to assume or hope. It's like I get whiplash every time my imprint bond demands that my emotions shift to accommodate Alice's wants. Alice shifts before climbing off of me, and I finally look back over to her. A small frown curves her lips in the wrong direction and my heart leaps. Desperately, I send a splash of cold water in her direction, and her head snaps back around to face me. I offer her a lopsided smile before plunging back into the water and letting its cold velvet touch caress body. She laughs as the wave my cannonball created splashes into her eyes. Bella's paw. Training has been a regular thing of late, worked into a schedule as rigid and unmoving as school or showering, though for some of the guys, the showering aspect has clearly taken a hiatus. The vampires, because of their lack of sleep needs and I think boredom, meet up in a large open field to train from 1 to 3 am every night. The wolves, because of our need for rest, show up in a rotation. Half of the pack sleeps. The other half is either present or running perimeter to discourage any unwanted visitors. And so, the rotation goes like that, switching every night with the other half are unning patrol or training depending on the previous time. Only 2 wolves are able to be present at a time. It's about every third night that I find myself in the dark field, straining my eyes to catch every minute movement even with my enhanced eyesight. Gradually, through these training sessions, I learn of Jasper's history with newborns, and it's a bloody one that leaves me appalled that the Jasper that I know, the polite, gentlemanly one, was a part of something so awful. I don't blame him for it, though. It doesn't sound like he was given a choice, and I can't imagine how much doubly hard it was for him with his empathic power. Through his strict training regimen, and patient teaching, I develop a new respect for the Southern man. For his resilience and for his dedication to protecting Alice. Though she doesn't seem to need protecting as I watch her effortlessly dance around him and evade every single one of his attacks. He takes the humiliation with an amused smile full of affection that makes my heart ache in guilt and longing as I once again become sure of their relationship. On nights dedicated to practice, rather than lessons, I find myself often paired with both Edward. Because he can't read me and Alice who can't see wolves, but I don't think I can take seeing anyone from my pack snapping their jaws at the girl. It frustrates Jasper a bit, him wanting the psych. I see to experiencing a variety of fighting styles from people whose moves she can't predict, but any time he suggests one of my pack going against her, they wince and vehemently refuse. So, I'm stuck Huff, it's not much of a hassle sparring with my imprint, and it's a lot of fun. We often already wrestle when we hang out, but during these sessions the mood is a lot more serious. I take these lessons very seriously, even with my imprint. I know that pulling my punches won't help me or her, so I go all out, only wincing at the blows I manage to land on her after the spar is over. It goes against everything in me to harm my imprint. But even the wolf knows that it would only harm her more if I were to hold back. So I don't. I slam her into the ground, one large paw pressing down on her chest, and teeth wrapping quickly around her head. At the clear win, I immediately release my holds, allowing the girl to climb back to her feet. Even as I wince and apologize over and over about my rough takedown, she just laughs and complains about the drool in her hair. Our wins have become fairly equal since she got used to not having her visions in our brawls, but this win was particularly harsh. I guiltily see cracks creeping out the collar of her shirt. If it was anyone from my pack that did that to her, I would have torn their leg off. Which is why they keep their distance and absolutely refuse to even attempt sparring her. That was really smooth, Bella, Jasper compliments as he drifts over. I can't help beaming a little in pride. Thanks, I chirp, quickly shrugging into a robe that I brought to appease Alice when I'm not Wolf. I'm the only one from my pack that shifts forms back and forth to communicate because Edward can just translate with them. I'm not entirely sure how I did it though. That's good, Jasper nods. That means that it's becoming instinctual muscle memory. As Alice comes trotting up to my side, Jasper turns away to address the field as a whole. All the IGHTS are winding down as the time draws closer to 3. Next time, I want to try something new. The wolves have become much stronger fighters individually than they were before, but wolves are pack animals. I think it's time we stop trying to train you separately, but as the way you are meant to fight. As a pack. Excitement trills through my body, and I can see it reflected in the body language of other wolf embry present. Tomorrow night, I want as many of you here as possible so we can train in this way. Even if it means that we only have you here every other day, I believe it would be more beneficial for you to train as a pack rather than 2 individually at a time. So, the new training schedule took effect. 6 wolves every other night, with 2 always constantly patrolling. It's a tiring schedule that leaves little room for personal time, and even fewer hours of rest, but it's doable. It's 3 nights later that I finally get my turn to train as pack, and excess energy KS into my feet as I pay close attention to the maneuvers and mistakes that were made playing in the memories of the ones present the first night. As I mentioned the other night, Jasper lectures fearlessly in front of 6 shifted wolves. Newborns don't think in strategy. They don't care any more for their people than they do for you. This is to your advantage because they won't deliberately work together either, not like you can. You can communicate through that link of yours, you know how each of you move. An army of 1,000 individuals is no match for an army of 8 thinking, cohesive fighters. So, let's try again what we did the other day. He moves to the other side of the field, and with him the rest of the Cullens follow, standing opposite of the wolves. Basically, it's a big battle royal with either side trying to kill each other. Since this training is more for the wolves, the Cullens are supposed to act and fight like a newborn would. The basic rules are no beheading and no biting. Everything else is fair game as long as it can be healed within an hour. If you clearly get killed by the other team, you have to lay down and play dead until there is a victor. The wolves lost horribly last time, but by the end they seemed to be getting the hang of it and started working together. Ready, set, Jasper's voice floats over like a whisper in my ears as anticipation sings in my veins. Go. 2 wolves immediately break away, disappearing into the tree line as the vampires explode into motion, bearing down at us incredibly fast. The 4 of us left advance in a kind of wedge formation, attacking the enemy head-on as the 2 who broke off flank them from behind. Our small formation almost immediately breaks up, and with a quick direction from Sam, we pair off. I immediately converge on Jacob, who is locked in a battle of strengths with Emmett, and I snatch the bear of a man's leg from behind, yanking it hard. He face plants hard, but I don't move for a killing blow. I let Jake take care of that as I launch myself at Rosalie, who had been coming up on my cousin from behind while he was distracted, much like I had done to her husband. We go tumbling down in a screech of blonde hair and fur. These past weeks, I have fought every Cullen at least once, including Rosalie, and I immediately notice how different she is fighting than last time. Her movements are more wild, more direct. Each swing intended to kill if it were to actually hit. This is the way a newborn fights. Only with faster speed and harder hits. A shiver goes down my spine, like I'm just now realizing how much danger we are actually in. This suddenly isn't just a game. I always took training seriously, but it's just now occurring to me in my gut, just how important this is. This is the army coming after my imprint. My imprint, who I know is going to be fighting right beside me, with her family because she is supernatural, and I just now appreciate my pack mates, fragile human NTS who can be hidden away from fights safe and sound. If we lose, my imprint dies. The thought has panic searing real and true in my chest, separate from this play pretend simulated battle, and I'll inch away from the blonde vampire before they can grapple a hold on me. I whip my head around frantically, searching, forgetting that this is fake, this is safe, and I see the worst thing possible. Alice manages grab Jacob's tail, who I'm supposed to be teamed up with, and he spins, jaws wide and snapping to make her let go. He follows, though, shoving her to the ground and moving in for a killing blow. And forget who the enemy is supposed to be. I lose it. With a roar, I slam into the rusty-coated wolf. He yelps, my teeth sinking into flesh and claws ripping into soft belly. The smell of metallic blood fills my nose. But I keep ripping and tearing, fear and rage clouding my mind. Abruptly, I'm launched off of my enemy and 3 more wolves are on me. I thrash and snap and snarl trying to dislodge them. But they hold firm. A large black paw presses down on my muzzle, shoving it firmly into the dirt so that I can't even work my jaw. Pink-tinged spittle pools under my cheek. There is shouting in my head. But I can't hear anything over the roar of rage and fear and instinctive need to protect my imprint. Until a single sentence breaks through my head, so loud and demanding that I listen. Stop fighting. My body, before my mind can catch up, slumps boneless to the ground, and despite the confusion coursing through me, my muscles betray me with only a tremble. Slowly, my mental processes return to me. Fuck, I'm sorry Bella, so sorry, I got it, don't go after the imprint, fuck, the mental pain and rambling reaches my ears, and I cringe as I realize that it's coming from my cousin. My cousin who I just tore into, with every intent to kill. Fuck. I pant harshly into the dirt, still unable to move from the power of the Alpha's command. The taste of blood coating my tongue. Are you back to yourself? Sam asks me, paw still pressing me into the dirt as Leah and Embry pin the rest of my body. Is Jake alright? I ask. He'll live, he responds wryly. Glancing over at the writhing wolf who is getting checked over by Carlisle. I guess we should have expected this, Leah sighs, releasing my front legs. We did, Embry huffs, releasing me as well. Sam steps off my muzzle. But I still don't move to get up. Now I'm really glad that I never agreed to sparring with the tiny vampire. What just happened? Emmett asks, rubbing the back of his neck. Rosalie slaps him in the back of the head, but doesn't offer him an answer, shooting me a weary look. I wince, turning my eyes to the ground. I don't even dare to look at Alice. I'm sorry, Jacob, I whine at him. He grimaces. It's all right. Embry was right, we all knew better, but I guess excitement got the best of all of us, huh? Besides, I'm already healing. You didn't even manage to get my throat. I sigh in relief. Finally slowly sitting up, my eyes catch on Jasper's gaze, and he just looks at me contemplatively before glancing at Alice and then Jacob. Perhaps we should start with teams of 2 and we build up. That seemed to be working particularly well before this accident. He contemplates. Accident? Emmett asks incredulously. Bella Bear totally turned coat and attacked her own team. Rosalie hits him hard over the head again, and he winces, rubbing at the spot. Right, accident. Because we are all totally just going to ignore what happened. Right. And without another word, we seem to do exactly that. Bella's paw. In my dreams, I'm chasing a leech. My large body weaves in and out of trees, trying to just catch a sight of her, but all I can glimpse is a flash of red hair. And whenever I get close enough for my teeth to wrap around her neck, she vanishes in a poof of smoke between my jaws. Her sickly scent burns my nose with every inhale, and my desperation and panic are almost overwhelming. I have to catch her. If I don't, something very bad is going to happen. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I am aware that this is a dream as the trees shift and bend towards me in some sort of warped reality. But her smell is so immediate and burning that I can't help but feeling as if the chase is real. Then I'm suddenly waking up in bed, blinking confusedly into the dark bedroom. No alarm went off, and no morning light peeks through the window. It's absolutely silent as I hold perfectly still in the pitch blackness, straining my ears and eyes for what awoke me. NTH. And the shadows shift and take the shape of a human form, a woman, leaning over me. As she reaches out in the darkness towards my face, I think, for a moment, that this is another dream, but then my brain registers that the leech's scent had carried over into the waking world and is still burning my nose. I shift on the spot, fear and panic roaring in my veins as I lunge out of bed at the shadow. The sudden clash of noise, tearing sheets and clothes, my loud snarls and snapping, are deafening in the previous piece. Something falls over in the dark, splintering, and the leech that had been lurking over me dashes towards the open window. After that, it's a blur. My jaws follow her, straining and snapping as my limbs get tangled in bedsheets before the weak fabric relents and tears even more. I chase her desperately, mindlessly. And then the window is shattering, along with the frame as my large body slams into the too small opening. My teeth graze her shirt before she is gone and I'm suddenly falling. Turning nose over tail towards the hard ground below. I impact it with a deafening clap like thunder. The pain is instantaneous. There are other noises too: howling, snarling, shouts. I don't notice any of it as I strain my head in the direction the leech took off. Fire hair flickers out of view like in my dream, clutching one of my shirts in her pale hand. Voices suddenly register in my head, full of panic. I turn my head wildly and there, my sister is right there, already beside me, thoughts frazzled and terrified. I reach for her before cringing and regretting the movement as pain screams through my shoulder, traveling all the way from the tips of my ears to my hind toes. Seth. I scream at her. Go check on Seth and Mom and Dad. Please. Terror slams through my veins, psychically feeling it with every pulse in my pounding shoulder. She was in our room, she was just standing over me. Where is Seth? Please, you have to go find them, I ramble, begging hysterically as the situation catches up to my dazed mind. I woke up to Victoria standing over me, reaching out towards my face. Did she visit anyone else's room before ours? Leah stomps in place agitatedly, nerves so high. Strung that she's unable to shift back, so she whines and paces back and forth in front of the new hole in the house, head thrown back and straining to look back inside. Relief almost knocks me out cold when Seth appears in the hole, clinging to jagged plaster and leaning out with wide eyes. What's going on? He asks, fear trickling through his voice, though he tries to remain unflappable. Where are Mom and Dad? I shout at him, but it's pointless. No matter how much I scream and shout, he can't hear me when I'm shifted. Sam is suddenly there, all skin and concern as I writhe in pain and desperation. He places a hand over my head in comfort. Hold still, he demands, signs of his alpha voice leaking through, and I'm helpless but to obey. What's going on? I beg him, and though he's not shifted, he understands me perfectly. Jard and Quill are staying with the imprints in case the leech decides to come back, while Paul and Jacob are following her trail. Embry is running to meet the doctor at the border. Seth, he calls, turning to look up at the boy, where are your parents? He's still using his command voice, but even Seth is helpless but to obey. Downstairs calling all the elders, he answers instantly, shakily. Good, Sam says, looking back over to my sister. Leah, you need to calm down. You're not helping anyone in this state. The silver wolf huffs, stomping in place again, and still doesn't shift back. Instead, she lays down right next to me, close enough to feel her heat coming off of her, and I finally flop my head back into the dirt. The blackness that has been threatening my vision since I hit the ground seems to finally take over, and I know nothing more. I'm only out for a few minutes, but it's enough for the scene to shift. It's like I only blink and then there are more people there hovering at my peripheral. The scent of vampire has my hair standing on end, and I thrash wildly, trying to assess the threat before a hand is placed soothingly on my head again. Easy, sis. Your Dr. Vampire and the pixie just got here. I calm immediately as Seth's familiar smell invades my nose, voice sounding more composed than it had been before. How are you doing? A high whine escapes me. In the next instant, chilly hands are brushing against my cheek and sun and rain chase away the lingering anxiety from the vampire smell. Hey, puppy, Alice croons softly. Quite a mess. You seem to have found yourself in, huh? A pitiful moaning sigh seeps past my lips. Can you help her? Sam asks from the corner of my eye. He looks uncomfortable with the Cullens' presence. Though that might just be due to his continued nudity. Not as she currently is, Carlisle answers as if I'm not there. As if hearing my disgruntled thoughts, he turns to me. Bella, can you turn back to human? I'm sorry to say that I've never been to veterinary school. I try focusing enough to shift, but the pain in my body is just too much. It's all my mind can focus on, and I huff as Leah whines behind me. The cool fingers on my cheek draw my attention ridiculously easy, and I'm blinking into concerned ochre eyes. It's okay, Bella, just breathe. You can do it, Alice soothes, pressing her forehead into mine. My body shudders, and in 2 seconds, my form shrinks and reverts to human in the most painful shift I've ever experienced. Holy mother foo, I black out again. When I come to again. Alice is still directly in my eyesight, but she looks irritated as she glares at me. Well, not at me, at the person behind me. I become aware of tanned human arms hugging me to a naked chest. And I blink up at a human Leah. All I can think at that moment is that Alice is going to be pissed at me for being naked in front of so many people again. Carlisle kneels on my injured side, taking care as he delicately lifts my arm. Even though his touch is gentle and hardly there, I feel waves of ache all the way to my toes. Your shoulder is definitely dislocated, he murmurs loud enough for the growing crowd to hear. From the corner of my eye, I see my parents coming around the side of the house. It looks like both your radius and ulna are broken too, and I believe that your wrist is fractured. I can't be sure without an X-ray though. I groan at the long list of injuries, knowing that it will most definitely take more than a day to heal. That's what happens when you jump out a window headfirst. Leah snaps, but there is no bite. Her voice is off, shaken, still on edge. Her nose keeps wrinkling, and I realize that the smells must be bothering her especially. After all the craziness that rudely snapped her out of sleep, the most I can do right now is set your shoulder and arm. Your shoulder should alleviate a lot of the pain you are experiencing right now. Carlisle gently but firmly grips my upper arm. Is it going to hurt? I ask. You're going to say you're going to count to 3 but actually do it on 2 like in the movies, aren't yo? He suddenly yanks my shoulder. And it slides back into place with a loud pop. God damn it. I scream, tensing up and slamming back into Leah as my body fights for an outlet for the pain. Alice shuffles closer, shushing me. As she wipes the stream of tears from my cheeks. You're okay, that's it, you did so good, puppy. Her babying inadvertently brings my attention to the fact that we have a growing audience, and I snarl irritably at them. What are you all standing around looking at me for? I'm fine, so go away, I snap. Sam shifts uncertainly. If that's what you want, then we won't crowd you, Bella. I'll check in after the sun comes up. He glances wearily at the still dark sky that severely limits visibility. After they disperse, only the 2 Cullens and my adoptive family are left huddled in the backyard, whose only privacy comes from the cover of night. How are you doing, Bella? My mom asks, coming closer. Peachy, I snap through gritted teeth. My arm hurts. Bad. Calm the tood baby Belle, Leah goads. Seeming to have recovered her nerves finally. Must be nice. I slap my good hand down on her thigh, digging my nails in deep in a flash of spitefulness. She gasps in pain, wincing. Alice glares at my hand. Mom chuckles, amused. Are you ready for the rest of your arm? Carlisle asks, and my glare turns to him. Yeah, I grit my teeth. He looks up at my parents. Do you have a brace or anything for a splint? I'm afraid. With her wolf healing, it would be almost pointless to put a cast on. We'll go look, Mom nods, dragging Dad away as well. She doesn't even glance at the gaping hole in the house. Alice's hand slips into my uninjured one, and I clutch it tightly as the doctor turns his attention back to my swelling, throbbing arm. It's almost numb with pain at this point, though. He was right about my shoulder lessening a lot of it. Setting the bone doesn't take as long, and soon, silence drags on into an uncomfortable one. There is a strange tension settling around me, and I'm not sure of the cause. Carlisle glances up at the house. I should go see if I could be of any help in finding what I need. I'll go with you, Seth quickly volunteers, glancing nervously at my imprint. This is strange. Carlisle nods at Alice and Leah and leaves shortly with a short instruction of, keep her still. Then it's just me and the two girls, and the strange tension only seems to thicken. Bella's paw. I can feel Leah watching Alice from over my shoulder. Curiosity practically radiates off of her as she examines my imprint. Guiltily, I think that maybe I should have tried to have them meet sooner than now. Slowly, one of Leah's hands leave my waist, creeping up my ribcage before cupping one of my breasts. Alice's eyes zero in on the movement, and even I blink down at the tan hand. I say, awkwardly. Your hand is on my boob, I inform my sister as if the move wasn't completely deliberate. Yup, she says, and gives it a small squeeze. Why? Why not? Is her immediate response, punctuated by another squeeze. A low rumble seems to come from Alice, and her hold on my hand tightens painfully, which I promptly ignore. It's a bit weird, dude, I admit. And you're not into girls. And you're my sister. And doesn't this count as sexual assault? Maybe I am into girls and just never told you, she says, continuing her fondling and completely ignoring my off. Our comments which I think to be perfectly reasonable points. I'm in your head, Lee. You have no secrets. Oh yeah, she laments, hands freezing before dropping back to my waist. At that moment, Carlisle returns, alone. And holding a brace and some cloth. Here we are, the doctor says, setting to work on my numb throbbing arm. Easy does it. After tightening the brace, he pins my arm to my chest. Fastening a sling out of the extra cloth. You need to keep this sling on for at least 48 hours. I will check you out again after that and let you know if it needs to be worn longer, but I am hopeful with your healing abilities. Quote, thanks, Doc, I sigh, feeling bone-weary tired. He offers a tired smile. Your alpha suggested that we have a meeting about what happened after the sun comes up. You get some rest. I quite agree. Alice. He stands, turning in the direction of the woods, ready to leave. Alice, still scowling, stands to follow without even glancing at me or offering parting words. My heart pounds as I wonder what I did wrong. A wolf, Embry, comes out of the trees to escort them back to the border. Once they are gone, Leah bursts into laughter that rocks our bodies and sends spikes of pain into my arm. I shuffle away, disgruntled, as she tips over onto her side dramatically. What? I grumble, struggling to stand. Are you sure she has a mate? She gasps, lurching to her feet. Well, not anymore, I admit. Thinking back to the dance and Rosalie's cryptic words. Why? Did you see her face? She says gleefully. Ooh, she was so mad at me. I thought I was going to catch fire under her glare. My fried brain tries to catch up to the train of thought. Well, I reason, you were sexually assaulting her friend right in front of her. You weren't bothered by it, she waves off. That, dear sister, sweet baby Belle, was jealousy not friendly concern. Stop it, I groan, trying to bury my red face into my single good hand. I'm trying really hard to not hope, Leah. Because this imprint stuff is really confusing when my emotions suddenly shift each time I think she wants something different from me. Girl, you're the only one that doesn't see how obviously. She wants to eat you and not in the vampire way. Leah. I gasp, feeling my face flush even more. I'm just saying. She raises her hands in surrender, but there is still a shit-eating grin plaster over her unrepentant lips. With jealousy like that, it won't be long until she snaps and tries to jump you. You might want to be ready. Even as I flounder and blush and sputter, her words ring familiar. It's eerily similar to what Rosalie had voiced those few short weeks ago, though Rose said it with a lot less innuendo. Well, next time you want to prove a point, please don't go groping me in front of her. It's weird, Lee. So, you're saying I can grope you if you're not in front of her? Leah. I scowl, trying desperately to hide my amusement. She would just keep going if she thought I was amused. If you say so, she shrugs. Unconcerned. You're the useless lesbian. She glances up at the gaping hole in our bedroom wall, and sighs. Think Seth will let us bunk up with him. I wah. Up to the afternoon sun glaring unforgivingly through the window, and I groan as the soreness hits. Not just my unfortunate arm, but my back, too, from sleeping on the ground. Morning, Seth chirps cheerfully, grinning down at me from his bed. I groan again in instant misery. Leah, Bella's awake. He shouts into the house, and the girl in question appears in the doorway, looking freshly showered, though still exhausted. Perfect timing. Sam called an hour ago. We are all meeting up at the Cullens. The elders, of course, would get twitchy and throw a fit if they were all on our land at once. Who's on patrol? I ask, though I don't know how well patrol works considering last night debacle. Paul and Jacob. They've been out all night, but they insist they're fine. I'll be switching out with one of them after the meeting. Can I come, Bella? Seth asks eagerly. Sure, I say at the same time as Leah's firm, no. I raise an eyebrow at her. Fine, she caves fairly quickly. Yes, he cheers. Leaping from the bed and I blink at the boy as something suddenly strikes me. He's taller. Way taller than when I last looked. I scramble to my feet reaching out and tugging him closer until we are nose to nose. He's as tall as me now. Seth grins as I blink at him in bafflement, wondering when and how he had gotten so tall and I didn't realize. Finally notice, did you? He cackles cheerfully. I told you I was growing. But, I sputter, looking over at Leah who seems to be just now spotting it as well. But you're like 13, I exclaim, pushing my good hand down on his head as if it will cause him to shrink back down to his prepubescent teen self. Leah, I exclaim, as if she knew what to do. I can't do anything about it. She squawks defensively. You do something. I can't do anything. I shoot back. Well, neither can I. Guys, Seth exclaims, and I just now notice that his voice is different too, as if it changed so gradually that I hadn't noticed until this very moment when I'm noticing other changes about him. This is a good thing. I promise. I relax slightly at his reassurance and remembering that it was a good thing for me. For a moment, the others mow. RNFUL attitudes about new shifters joining the pack had made me forget. Seth has been eager to join. Even if he is only 13, I know that he'll be alright. Right, you're right, Seth. This is a good thing, I speak my own reassurances. Relaxing even more. Maybe it's just a growth spurt. Leah suggests doubtfully, with a slight frown. Not likely, I deny, marveling how I didn't notice it before. He's shot up over a foot. I smile at my brother, wrapping him into a one-armed hug. Congratulations, Seth, I smile. Now let's go to the vampire's house. Can we run there, and I ride on your back? No, both Leah and I say in sync. And Seth pouts. I end up taking Seth on my bike, him driving while Leah runs just inside the tree line beside us, and before we know it, Seth is parking my bike in front of the giant house. It's a lot more normal than I was expecting, Seth pouts in disappointment. What did you expect, dungeons and coffins and moats? I tease. Kind of, he shrugs. A booming laugh explodes from the porch. And before I know it, Emmett is moving quickly towards us. Oh, is this the brother? The giant exclaims, grinning wide and reaching out eagerly like a child reaching for a breakable toy. My eyes widen as he quickly bears down on us. Emmett, he's human. Be careful. Emmett sweeps my brother up in what can almost be considered the literal definition of a bear hug. Relax, Bella Boo. I know, he giggles. Hi. Seth laughs as he's set back on his feet, thankfully not broken in half. I'm Seth. Emmett grins, and not for the first time. I think about how swimmingly these two will get along. Seth is a child and Emmett acts like one. It's a match made in heaven. Honestly, I don't know how Rosalie deals with him. You wanna go play video games until everyone else gets here? Quote. Sure. Seth agrees immediately. Emmett, I swear to all the gods, if you break him, I will bite your head off, I call as they quickly climb the stairs to the porch. You got it, Boo. He calls back, throwing me 2 thumbs up. I sigh. A warm body appears at my side, watching as our brother disappears into the house. Emmett. Leah asks. Yup. We are doomed. Yup. A giggle like bells chimes through the air, and a grin splits my face as I shift into Alice's orbit. Hey, Pixie Sticks, I greet, clumsily accepting her typical hug of greeting. Her eyes linger on my slung arm before moving to settle over my shoulder. Hello, she says, an odd inflection to her voice. Oh, I gasp, turning sharply back to my sister. She has a wide amused grin plastered to her face. And I try very hard to not think about the comments she made earlier this morning. You guys haven't officially been introduced yet. Alice, this is my sister Leah. Sister? She asks doubtfully, eyebrows scrunching together adorably. Yup, I say as cheerfully as possible, though I feel like my smile twitches. Oh, her shoulders seem to slump slightly before a sheepish smile settles over her lips. Leah's grin widens. My eyebrow spasms. Nope, not going to think about it. Thank gods for more people arriving. Bella's paw. With 6 humanoid wolves plus Seth and 7 vampires. The Cullens' large front yard suddenly seems small as everyone gathers. Even though it's Cullen property, Sam naturally takes charge of the meeting since it has to do with what happened on Quileute land. All right, Bella, he says, walk us through what happened this morning. My one good fist clenches at my side as I once again feel a wave of anger and fear. I was dreaming that I was chasing the redhead. Then I woke up and she was standing over me, I say shortly. I shifted and tried to chase her, but ended up falling out a window. A short and sweet explanation. I don't remember much. I went from asleep to danger in all of 2 seconds. That's how long the entire encounter took. Did you notice anything else? What was she doing? Jasper asks. She was standing over me. She was reaching for me. I shrug helplessly. And then I remember a flash of color in her hand as she was dashing into the woods, and my brows furrowed. I think she had one of my shirts. But that doesn't really make sense. A calculating look immediately enters the ex-Confederate's eyes. Unless she wanted your scent, he muses. A small cold hand slips into mine, and I automatically squeeze it. Why would she want Bella's scent? Leah asks sharply. I thought she was after Alice. A low growl rumbles in my chest, but my sister only gives me a dismissive eye roll. She's angry that Alice killed her mate, right? Seth asks, drawing attention from all the supernaturals. He doesn't back down from the attention like he might have 6 months ago. My brother stands tall and confident in his place among us, only steadily meeting my eyes. She must have been watching. Maybe she saw that it was Bella who lit him up. I frown. But she didn't recognize me in Seattle. She would have realized I was Wolf and been more careful approaching. Then maybe that's why, Sam muses. Because she knows that you, at the very least, are protecting her. Your scent might just be her best way to lead her army here. It doesn't really matter why. Just that she is. Jasper grunts, sharply turning to Alice. This means that she's close to making a decision on when to attack, if she hasn't already. What are your visions telling you? My imprint's brows furrow as her golden eyes take on a faraway look. They flicker back and forth, viewing something that no one else can see before she focuses on us with a grimace. Just that when she attacks, there will be snow on the ground and they'll be passing through the field we train in at about midday. Within the next few weeks then, Carlisle inputs. Then that's where we'll be to meet them. I say firmly, we can't let them get past us. If they follow my scent to the reservation, it will be a massacre. Everyone in my pack seems to be having the same thoughts as I meet some of their worried eyes. Sam nods in agreement. The hand in mine, now warm to the touch, squeezes and I'm automatically pulled into her orbit. Alice blinks her topaz eyes pleadingly up at me, moving closer to clutch at my arm in a possessive kind of way. You should stay at my house until they come. Just in case Victoria comes back while you're sleeping. You'll be safe here. My heart jolts at the awareness of this possibility, stirring the same fury and fear that I woke up to when I realized the burning scent was not just lingering from my dreams. If there is a possibility of her returning to come look for me, I need to be at home with my family. She tugs on my arm again, eyes turning big and round, lip jutting out the slightest bit just to draw attention to it. I blink, dazed. I haven't yet been able to resist her pout. Alice, I have Leah and 3 humans in my house. If she does come looking for me and doesn't find me, she could get angry and take it out on them. I need to be there. At least I can defend myself. From a long tunnel, I hear Leah's disgruntled grumble about being able to take care of herself, but she doesn't interrupt. Please, Bella, Alice begs. Bottom lip wavering as if she's about to start crying. My heart splinters at her request, wishing more than anything to do whatever will make her happy, while loyalty tugs weakly back towards the family who raised me. As the realization dawns somewhere in the back of my head, that I will always choose my imprint, no matter what, over the family who took me in, who raised me, who's all I've ever known. Grief almost overwhelms me as I just now realize the implications of an imprint bond. If they are in conflict, the imprint bond makes all others, ones that once meant everything to me, null. Ears spring to my eyes at this comprehension. My imprint's request has already won, but the cognitive dissonance burns through my consciousness even as I open my mouth to agree. Before I can, Jasper starts to step forward. But Rosalie seems to beat him on the uptake. She lays a pale hand on Alice's shoulder, a strange dark look directed at her that makes me instinctively bristle. Then surprise Ove. RW helms my defensiveness as she dips her head low and whispers only loud enough for the two of us to hear, "Check yourself, dear sister. Do not take advantage like this." Alice pauses in her pleading, drawing back a bit and glancing at Rose's surprise before turning back to me. Only then does she seem to see the true distress on my face. Because I'm just now realizing that free will does not really exist for me anymore. Not since imprinting. She can make me do anything if she really wanted to, and I had been just fine with that before a situation like this came along, her happiness or my family's safety. Realization and guilt overwhelm her features, and that's how I know that she is aware that I imprinted on her. Possibly her whole family knows. Rosalie does. I clutch at her hand as she starts to draw away. My instincts still demanding that I do anything to make her feel better. I want to cry even more at the pitying look she shoots in my direction, my heart fracturing the slightest bit further. A doggish whine escapes my throat. How long has she known? Is our entire relationship pity? I'm definitely certain now that she is not interested in me. If she were, and she knew of the imprint, she would have told me by now. She already knows I couldn't, reject her. I knew it'd be foolish to hope. Bella, it's fine. I say, a smile lighting my face, fake and watery. Aunt mind staying if that's what you want. Rosalie frowns at me, before glaring at Alice. Alice winces. I don't know if it's because of my words or her sister's look. Rosalie scoffs loudly, making some of the wolves freeze. Most had started slowly backing toward the trees in escape. This is an imprint matter. You are not stinking up our house even more than you already do, Rosalie dismisses with a deep dramatized scowl. It's one thing to invite your dog in every now and then, Alice, it's another to let it stay the night and rub its stink in so much that it doesn't come out. I can't help chuckling slightly. Chest feeling unexpectedly warm towards the brittle blonde. Sorry, Rose, Alice says demurely, before reaching out for me. One hand loosely laces between the fingers of my uninjured hand. The other rests gently on my slung arm. And I'm sorry, puppy, she says sincerely, eyes peering up at me through her lashes, dark like liquid amber. Of course you need to stay with your family. I'm just worried is all. Something in my chest loosens and relaxes. If she didn't care somewhat, she wouldn't have even made this request. Not if it was just pity. Thank you, I say softly. For caring. For not making me choose her over my family. For not taking advantage of the imprint. Well, Carlyle says, awkwardly breaking the silence. We will keep an eye on the weather and continue our training as usual. We might get a few false alarms until they show up, but we will be ready for them. Is there anything else we need to talk about? No, I think that covers it, Sam says wearily, eyes continually darting to me. I can feel the concern and unease practically projecting from him as if I had Jasper's empathic powers. With his words, my pack members attempting to escape make a break for the trees. Shedding clothes as they go. The Cullens also disperse until it is just me, my two siblings, Rosalie, and Alice in the yard. Jasper lingers for a moment before shooting his blonde ceased. Look and disappearing into the house. Do you want to hang out for a bit? Alice asks tentatively. I should probably go, I say gesturing to my bike. I have to get Seth back. I wait, watching her closely. Wondering if she'll beg me to stay anyway, wondering if all of my other responsibilities will forever fall to the wayside to my imprint's spontaneous whims. When gravity continuously pulls me in her direction, how can I possibly ever get my feet back on Earth? I think I've lost track of this analogy somewhere. She doesn't push me. She doesn't beg. She squeezes my fingers and lets go. A soft apologetic smile still lingering on her lips. Of course. I'll see you later. And even though gravity forever tugs me into her orbit, I turn away. Leah has a dark look in her eyes, full of concern and worry and a bit of fury that I know is not directed at me. It's probably not even directed at Alice, but the imprint bond that has already hurt her so much without her even experiencing it firsthand. But this is love, is it not? I muse silently. Giving someone power over you and trusting that they don't abuse it. Granted, this is a bit extreme and literal, but true all the same. A bit like Sam's alpha voice, I ruminate. I wonder if an imprint can overpower it. I feel like it could. After all, didn't I only listen to his commands, when I was attacking Jacob, after I started to come back to myself? Seth silently climbs onto the bike in front of me, and I loosely wrap my one arm around his waist, resting my cheek sedately on his back for the ride home. Alice's paw. Watching Bella go is more painful than I could have ever thought it would be. Especially with the way she had last looked at me. She's never looked so cautious around me, of me, never so suspicious and fearful. I hadn't even realized what I was doing. I just wanted her with me, wanted her safe, and I knew that I could get her to stay if I really wanted. It would be easy to get her to do what I wanted, she always has before. But that look, I could have gotten her to stay, she was going to, even as she didn't want to. The imprint doesn't seem like such a romantic thing anymore. It seems like a responsibility. Something I need to be careful with. I hadn't expected this. After she lost it and attacked Jacob during training, I should have expected something other than this fantasy, but it hadn't even occurred to me to be wary. Even that seemed romantic, that she wanted to protect me that much. Rose knew. I glance over at her now, and wince at the disappointed glare directed at me. It's strange, really, how quickly she's warmed up to the she-wolf enough to be protective of her. Do you realize yet? She asks, the rest of the question hanging in the air. Do I realize yet that this isn't a game? Do I realize yet that this is more complicated than I thought? Do I realize yet that I need to be cautious because I can still hurt Bella? Do I realize yet that there is a line I have to be cognizant of not to cross? Even if she really wanted to. Bella can't say no to me. I understood this, vaguely. That's why I was so sure that I could get her to agree, but I also didn't truly understand this. Yes, I whisper, truly shamed. I was forcing her to pick me over her family. She was in tears over it. That's one thing that I never want. She can't say no, Rosalie growls, and I wonder how she knows so much out this imprint business, more understanding of it than I do. Probably Edward. They've all probably been talking to Edward behind my back. She can't say no, so you have to be careful not to take her choice away. Suddenly, I understand why she is so protective of my intended, and an even deeper guilt twist somewhere in my chest since she's drawing comparisons to that. I won't take advantage, I promise reverently. I won't. I swear. Rosalie gives a short nod before disappearing into the woods, probably to hunt. Emmett streaks out of the house a moment later to follow her, and I know that our conversation was not private. They never are. We don't ever talk about it, but it takes almost a week for Bella to start relaxing and acting more normal around me again. All week, she keeps throwing out disagreements. Small things like offering to do other things, or denying me things she's never had a problem with before, and I get the feeling that she is testing me. I want to pout and get my way. But her caution around me stalls my tongue and I try my best to not take advantage. Jasper's advice whispers in my ear, that relationships are two ways, and it's this week that I realize that I don't know what Bella likes to do. Since I've met her, we've always done what I've wanted to do. Relationships are two ways. Ours hasn't been. I intend to rectify that. I find myself spending more time on the reservation. In Bella's house rather than mine, playing board games with her siblings. Leah keeps sending me dark looks that I try to ignore, and watching movies. I learn that she likes working on cars sometimes with her cousin. I cringe and spiral a bit, realizing that this is who she tore into during training. I learn a lot of things about Bella in this 1 week of truly paying attention. And I like her even more for it. I like that she is so devoted to her family, though I already knew this to some extent. I like that she is a complete dork. I like how natural being Wolf is to her and how connected it makes her feel. I like her a lot. And I want to push for more, but every time I start to, she starts looking all uncomfortable and guilty, and it's frustrating. It's like she doesn't even realize that I'm coming onto her. I know she likes me. At least I thought she did. So why is she acting like this? Bella's paw. It's a full 3 days before Carlisle allows me to shift. Again, and so it's almost a week before I can go to the next pack training session. They wouldn't even let me watch when Alice participated. The break from patrol and training, though, is actually really nice. Alice almost religiously tries to make it up to me. Every small prodding test I can't help doing, she passes even if it's with a pout. When she starts coming over, and interacting with the other people who mean so much to me, something in our relationship shifts once again, gravity always moving. It feels different. It feels mutual. With this new normal that settles around us, I can't help relaxing back into the ease of loving Alice. Jacob and I weave in and out of swinging pale arms, tag-teaming takedowns and kills, always moving, never pausing to let a hold catch us. We are a deadly team, and soon, we are the last ones left standing against the newborns. Woo! Emmett cheers, recovering from death, and leaping to his feet. That was awesome. You guys are getting really good at this. I grin wolfishly as the others climb to their feet as well. Rosalie nonchalantly dusts off her jeans as if she wasn't slammed into the ground and smeared through mud. Alice appears at my side from her observation spot in the tree line. It's an unspoken rule that she doesn't participate in tag team practice when I'm present, tangling her fingers in my neck fur. That was amazing, puppy, she praises. And I practically purr at her attention even as I turn mine towards Jasper. He's already nodding his approval, not even bothering to try wiping away the mud caked into his clothes. You all are getting very proficient in this. I think next time we try with you all together again. Inadvertently, a few eyes dart in my direction. Alice can ref. Edward drawls, fiddling with high-s gravity-defying hair that is more brown than bronze at the moment. Several wolves relax, and enough time has passed for amusement and satisfaction to stir in my chest at their unease of crossing my imprint. The first real snow that sticks comes in February. We all sit in the treeline in anticipation, early morning sun rising higher into the sky as a few flurries drift around my ears. At the moment, we are all scattered around. Some of my pack shifted, some not as they converse with the vegetarian vampires. I lean up against a tree in my own human skin, the robe I normally have for training draped around my shoulders. Alice sits next to me, leaning against the same tree, so close that her cool skin attempts to retain my own body heat even in this cold. The snow melts as soon as it comes into contact with my skin. But when Alice catches some flakes in her palm, I marvel that they linger. Filled with unease and anticipation that the battle we've been preparing for so long for is almost here. I broach a previously taboo topic, though I don't know when or how it came to be taboo. You know that I imprinted on you, I say quietly, sure of the answer. We are a ways away from the others, though not by much. If they really wanted to, they could listen in. I know that some of them are. Alice's head turns towards me, but I continue looking out at our future battlegrounds as it grows whiter and whiter. We have all spent so much time here that it reeks of shifter and vampire. It's enough to draw the attention of a passing army. Yes, Alice says simply, going back to catching snowflakes in the palms of her hands. When did you find out? I ask. Seattle, she admits, surprising me. That was very early on in our friendship. I heard Sam say it over the phone. She quickly answers my unasked question. I sigh deeply, not even sure why I feel this heavy feeling in my chest at the moment. I'm confident in our ability to win, and to win without casualties. I don't think feeling has anything to do with the battle at all. Apparently, since I broke the taboo first, Alice decides it's okay to talk about. What do you want from me, Bella? Alice asks, and it's a loaded question that it halts all the air in my lungs before releasing in one gushing exhale. All I've ever wanted was to be in your life, Nayeli. From the corner of my eye, Alice frowns. In any way that I want, right? That's right, I say wearily, wondering where this is going. So if I wanted, I don't think that they'll be coming today, Carlyle calls out, cutting off whatever Alice was going to say. Looking up at the late afternoon sky. Oh, come on Carlyle, Rosalie snarls, kicking out aggressively at a tree. It immediately snaps in half, falling over, and Embry yelps, having to scramble out of the way. What? The doctor asks, as baffled at Rosalie's outburst as I am. Forget it, she hisses, turning on her heel and disappearing in the direction of the Cullen house. When I look back at my imprint, She wears an amused, exasperated smile. At my questioning look, she shakes her head. Another time, she sighs. Bella's paw. We sit alone, for once, in the living room of my house. Leah had dragged Seth to the movies with an exasperated eye roll and a mumbled but still clearly audible, "Useless lesbian," once I told her that Alice was coming over. So now a movie plays and the TV as Alice's feet rest in my lap and I do my best to give her stony flesh a massage. From her pleased expression, she seems to be enjoying it. It's as I'm putting a second movie in that the conversation takes a more serious turn. "So, you imprinted on me," she ventures, and I pause with the DVD halfway towards the insert slot, wondering if this is a conversation best without a rom-com playing in the background. "Yes," I say, slowly setting the disc on top of the DVD player instead on putting it in. I turn to face the girl, folding my bare feet underneath me as I keep my position on the floor. Alice sprawls out over the entirety of the couch anyway. "Does imprinting make you oblivious or something?" she asks bluntly. Her non-judgmental expression is completely at odds with her words. Regardless, my face flushes under her curious scrutiny. "No, I'm not," I bluster, doubt creeping into my conscience. What did I miss? Does she think I've been coming onto her? I take a deep calming breath, sure that I can clear up this misunderstanding. I would hate myself if my unrestrained affection makes her uncomfortable. If I'm doing something that make you uncomfortable, I apologize. It was never my intention to make it seem like I was coming onto you. I know that you and Jasper are together and I don't intend to try getting between. As I continue to talk, her nonchalance turns more and more towards baffled disbelief. "Oh, wow," she says, eyebrows high on her forehead. She sits up slowly off the couch, tiny feet touching the ground. "Wow, you really are oblivious." Heat quickly rises to my cheeks in indignation. "I wouldn't be oblivious if people just told me what it is they want," I bluster, scowling at the vampire. "Oh, I'll tell you what I want." Alice suddenly grins, rising heart-achingly smoothly to her feet. Her statement sounds more like a threat as she all but stalks over to me, reaching down to pull me to my feet. I blink at our sudden proximity, looking down at the girl who is a head shorter, but seems to stand so much taller in her confidence. I open my mouth to ask just what she means, when the door bursts open and Leah practically falls into the room in a mess of limbs and panic. "Bella!" she shouts, trying to regain her feet and lug what appears to be a limp Seth back up into her arms. "Bella, it's happening." I'm immediately crossing the room, heart jumping into my throat at the sight of my sweating brother who has grown even taller and wider. He doesn't look 14 anymore. He hasn't for a while. "Well, don't bring him in here," I yelp, yanking them both back in the direction of the door. "We just got the last hole in the house fixed, do you want another one?" When I glance back at Alice, she gives a huge exasperated sigh before her brow creases in concern and she comes closer to help. "Oh, gods, you stink," Seth grumbles, grimacing as Alice comes closer, and I growl at the soon-to-be new shifter, all but tossing him into the front yard. "We really want to do this out in the open where anyone walking by can see?" Leah asks nervously, looking towards the neighbors' houses. Really, it's a miracle that they haven't yet seen anything with all the naked people coming in and out of the backyard. "Don't think we much have a choice. At least you got him home. Did you even get to see the rest of the movie?" "Don't start with me, baby Belle." Leah snarls in irritation and stress, and I mockingly raise my hands in surrender. "Please stop arguing, guys," Seth groans, clutching his stomach and turning over in the grass. His shirt is soaked in sweat. "Gods, what's that smell?" Our dear sister and her friend, Leah deadpans. "You'll get used to it. You really do." I can now distinguish their individual scents under the burn. I hardly ever notice that aspect of the other Cullen's scents anymore. "Is he going to be alright?" Alice asks worriedly at my side. "Once he gets sick like this, it's a quick change. Anything can set him off. You'll want to keep back though." It's my words that seem to do the trick, because my brother suddenly explodes outward in a shower of shredded clothes. I grimace as part of his shoe hits my shoulder, realizing I probably should have told him to strip while he still could. In Seth's place is a scrawny-looking silver wolf looking much like Leah in shading. He looks young, too young to be shifting. My ears vaguely register the sound of more ripping clothes, and I'm surprised when I realize that I'd shifted on instinct in my sudden distress. Seth's panicked mental voice immediately assaults me. And I calm myself quickly with just a single breath of rain and sun. Calm yourself, little brother, I soothe. You already know what's happening, take a deep breath, I coach. He immediately listens. And it's not long before his shock instantaneously turns into unbridled excitement. I sense his longing to run and test his new legs as easily as if it were my own emotions, and I turn toward my imprint and Leah, who is grumpily picking up scraps of ripped clothing. Alice smiles at me. Go, she says encouragingly. I'll be fine. I glance uncertainly at my sister, even as Seth's impatience twists and evolves into my own. Leah sighs, glancing nervously at the neighboring houses again before once again meeting my eyes. Well, go on, she huffs. I'll make sure your girl gets home all right. Ignoring the, your girl, part of her comment as I always do when she references my imprint in such a way, I turn tail and dart towards the trees, shoving my brother's shoulder on the way. He yelps excitedly as he chases after me. My little car zooms fast over cobbled ground, the world outside just a blur. My one focus is the road ahead of me and the tiny bike with a monstrous form perched on top. Every time the figure leans into a turn, he twists around and mockingly sticks his tongue out at me. Vengeance and determination burn through my veins, making my hands tremble as I will my car faster. If we can just get to the gorge, I can get a mystery box and pass Bowser just before he reaches the finish line. We reach the gorge, giant mushrooms sprouting up from the bottomless pit. And I jerk my controller up to get a speed boost as my little car with my Boo character bounces along the mushrooms. We safely reach the other side, and I just get ready to use the star rainbow power thing that I got when a red shell suddenly shoots out from the back of Bowser's bike. The screaming warning siren coming from my screen cuts off after all of 2 seconds because I'm riding his tail so close as the weapon hits home. My bike spins out just before the finish line, and I give an indignant shout as Bowser crosses it before my bike even has a chance to recover. Emmett roars in laughter, leaping to his feet and giving a victory dance that involves a lot of butt wiggles and hip thrusts. I groan, tossing the Wii remote at him weakly. The large vampire catches it easily, a shit-eating Reen plastered across his man-child face. I'm done, I announce, leaning back into chilly knees, and fingers immediately card through my hair. I sigh, enjoying the touch. Come on, Boo, Emmett calls cheerfully, trying to toss the remote back toward me. It hits me in the side of the head before falling to the floor in a clatter. One more game, he begs. We've been playing Mario Kart for 4 hours, I groan. My butt is numb. Rosalie glances up from her magazine on the other side of the couch. A minuscule smile, that might as well be shit-eating on her, twists her lips as she glances at Alice behind me before meeting my eyes. I can help you slap some feeling back into it, if you like. I blink at the blonde before grinning at her. You want to spank me? I snicker. But I've been such a good girl. See, Esme got me cookies. I gesture to the empty plate that hadn't lasted longer than 5 minutes. The hand in my hair pauses as Alice stiffens behind me. Rosalie's smile turns absolutely devious. Trust me, if I were to spank you, you'd like it more than Esme's cookies. Before I can respond, my arms is suddenly gripped in a stone grip and I'm yanked to my feet. I yelp in surprise as Alice all but drags me out the door. Alice, wait. My foot catches on a root but Alice doesn't slow enough for me to correct my footing. Where are we going? I ask, absently rubbing at my rear. Because it really had gone numb while we were playing video games. She doesn't answer, a low rumbling coming from her chest as she drags me further into the woods. My heart thunders when she finally stops, whirling around to face me. And I gulp at the intense glare she directs at me. Oh, gods, I whimper, what did I do? She shoves me into the nearest tree, making me gasp as the bark digs unforgivingly into my back. But then all of that falls to the peripheral as her hand reaches up to grip the hair on the back of my head and yanks my face down towards her. Our lips collide together harshly, and I gasp again at the force and frustration behind it. My chest wrenches, gravity moving so suddenly, so unexpectedly, that I lose knowledge or understanding of up or down, alive or dying, pain or pleasure. I whimper as her teeth tug harshly at my lips, and I can only chase her as she retreats the slightest bit, Because she is the only thing holding me here, the only direction I know, the only sensation I ever want to feel. You can't flirt with other people, she growls against my lips, kissing me as if she's afraid that this moment will pass without her ever telling me. You're mine. Yours, I agree helplessly, breathlessly. As her teeth drag along my neck, I bear it to her, happy to die if she willed it so. At the familiar sound of tearing clothing, I reel back, disoriented and slighted. Why panic that in my excitement I could have possibly shifted? I hadn't. Alice holds the remains of my shirt in one hand. Without her lips on me, a sliver of reasoning returns. So you and Jasper aren't. Quote, you stupid, wonderful, oblivious wolf, she mumbles, impatiently tugging my head back towards hers. He's just my best friend. That's all he's ever been. I wouldn't be able to say no, anyway. I fumble with Alice's top. Fingers trembling with something other than the need to shift. I don't dare rip it like she did mine, I fear she'd stop if I did. Her hands are like ice on my skin, but I instinctively search out more of her cold touch. Nayeli, I murmur reverently against her lips, like a prayer, keening under her mischievous fingers. Her fingers that trace lower and low are before deliberately plunging past the waistband of my shorts. Nayeli, 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 I gasp, slamming my head backwards into the tree. Bella's paw. It's well after dark when I finally make it home, and as soon as walk through the door. Feeling so dazed and light that I almost miss Leah lounging on the couch, her nose twitches and her eyes widen. I freeze halfway into the room, feeling caught. Leah roars in laughter, falling over. Off the couch, and onto the floor. My face flushes in embarrassment, but I stubbornly try to hide it through a stiff jaw. Even if the marks Alice left have already healed, there's no point hiding what happened. The scene and images won't leave my head, just playing again and again, making my body feel hot all over with every ghosting memory of her touch. The Ack will know everything that happened the moment I shift because I keep playing it back over and over. Oh, ew, Leah's nose bunches up in disgust when her amusement pauses. You're thinking about her right now, aren't you? I bet you are such a bottom. Tell me I'm wrong. My blush intensifies as I shift in discomfort. My silence only sends her into a second fit of laughter, and I huff indignantly. At the moment, enhanced senses suck. Oh, shut up, I snap playfully with an eye roll, cheeks flushed as I urge my feet to continue past the room in the direction of the stairs. You might want to hour before Seth gets home from patrol if you don't want him to instantly realize what one of his big sisters got up to today. My eyes widen in horror at the thought, and I practically sprint to the bathroom. Oh, gods. Seth is going to be in my head. It was awkward enough that the rest of the pack is inevitably going to get a peek, but for Seth to be one of them. I reluctantly scrub the indecent smells of Alice from my skin. I sprawl lazily across a cluttered workbench, one foot bent and propped up, the other kicking absently out over empty air. The smell of motor oil and grease is familiar and relaxing, even though the garage is a lot bigger than the run-down shack I spent most of my childhood in. A breeze whispers through the open doors, carrying with it the smells of rain and the forest. I distractedly twirl a wrench between my fingers as the blonde fiddles about under the hood of a BMW. Even in coveralls smeared in grease stains, she still looks unfairly gorgeous. Socket wrench, she demands. And I pass over my tool without complaint. With a glance at her work, I guess the next tool she might need and snatch up some pliers to fiddle with. She works in comfortable silence as I stare up at the roof far overhead. It looks sturdy and solid, not like it would fall over with one good gust of wind. She finally jumped you, did she? Rosalie asks nonchalantly, not even pausing in her work. The pliers slip from my finger, nearly gouging out my eye, and I hiss at the pain. Rose glances up, a smudge of grease on her cheek but still looking utterly devastating, and she smirks. Please. What else could she have dragged you away like that for after I was flirting with you? Vampires are very possessive, you know. I'm starting to get that, I think wryly. Why didn't anyone tell me that the show she and Jasper put on at school is just an act? I ask instead, and that seems to give Rosalie pause. Guess no one ever thought of it, she shrugs before bending back over the car engine. Pliers, she demands. And I pass them over. And the whole, me being naked in front of people thing, I venture. Really, how could you have not picked up on this sooner? Rosalie scoffs. Quote, I've been told on more than one occasion that it's because I'm a useless lesbian, I tell her cheekily, and it startles a laugh out of her that I feel a complete victory in. There is a minuscule tug in my chest. And I immediately turn my head towards the door, where Alice appears, wearing an adorable pout. While Rosalie is drop-dead gorgeous, my imprint can restart your heart and steal it for safekeeping. Shouldn't you be at my house to spend time with your girlfriend? She asks, and I sit up as she glides over towards me. Come now, Alice, you know Rosalie is obsessed with me. She would surely die if she didn't get a chance to see my face every now and then. Rose's snort is nothing short of dismissive. At my imprint's continued pout, I reach out for her, tugging her close between my legs and wrapping my arms around her waist. But you, Nayeli, hang the stars and the moon in my sky. You are the center of my universe, my sun, and I am helplessly caught in your pull. Alice cuts me off, tugging me forward by the front of my shirt, and I happily sink into her kiss, heart soaring, adrenaline making my skin flush as cold fingers ghost under my shirt along my waist. My jaw goes slack as a velvet tongue swipes along my bottom lip. Not in my garage. Rosalie snarls, breaking my descent into oblivion, and I reluctantly pull away from the definition of temptation. Alice doesn't let me get far, leaning in until her cool breath brushes along my ear. Shall we go somewhere else then? She whispers, voice low. I eagerly scramble to my feet, clumsily kicking the toolbox. It spiel ls and clatters loudly across the garage, and Rosalie curses as tools slip to every corner. Sorry, I stutter, for a moment intending to help collect them, but the thought dies as Alice's eyes darken from amber to onyx. All thoughts die, and all I can do is stumble after my mate as she guides me out of the garage. I lounge in the shallows of the river, the freezing water lapping up the sides of my ribcage. But I'm unbothered by the chill. A cold body snuggles into my side, playing with my fingers that are folded over my belly. The small, icy digits trace along my wrist before moving along. Inky black loopy letters that curl around my pack tattoo. My eyes droop in sluggish laziness. When did you get this? Alice asks softly, cheek nestled in the hollow of my shoulder. I hum sleepily. Yesterday. I like it, she says after a moment. Every time I mark you, it always heals before anyone can see it. And after we have sex, you always wash away my scent. Even half asleep, I blush as her blunt words. I'm just not comfortable having my brother smell you on me like that every time my tongue catches on the vulgar word. Have sex. Alice offers helpfully with a shit-eating grin. Sleep together. Make love. Do the dirty. I tug my hand away from her to drape over my face as it burns in embarrassment. Yeah, that, I say weakly. Alice laughs, and I feel the smallest bit better even if her amusement is at my expense. Oh, puppy, you should really be able to say the word at this point. Come on, say it with me, she pokes me in my belly. Sex, 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 sex. I sit up, turning away from the naked girl, and hunching forward to try and hide my flaming face. The imp immediately plasters herself to my back, and I curse my traitorous heart that it leaps at the feel of her breasts smashing against my skin. Don't act all shy now, my Bella. She breathes in my ear, and a shudder races down my spine. I've heard the words that spill from your lips when I touch you. My breath catches as her sneaky fingers trail over my skin, and I curse my traitorous body as it responds so readily, so instantaneously to her. Without ever consciously thinking to do so, I sink into her touch. Opening up to her ministrations. I turn my head, instinctively searching for her lips which are curved into a triumphant smirk that makes me pause. Something in me twitches Leah's voice way. In the back of my mind mockingly whispering in my ear, I bet you are such a bottom, and I want to wipe that smirk from her lips. I catch her wandering hand, quickly twisting around and shoving her into the muddy bank. Pinning her with a downward press of my hips. Her expression turns to surprise as I lean over her, trapping her wrists above her head, as I give her my best leering look. When I'm done fucking you, you won't be able to see straight let alone process the words coming out of my mouth. A thrill goes through me when her eyes instantly blacken, and her back almost seems to arch the ground without me even touching her yet. And then, when you can finally string a sentence together again, I'm going to fuck you into oblivion all over again. Alice gasps, and even though she doesn't truly need air, that she can't possibly ever run out of breath, her chest heaves up and down as if she were a human running a marathon. Bella's paw. There are 3 more false alarms for snowfall before the day finally comes. It's a particularly biting day in which left a thick blanket of snow the night before. Everything has frozen, and it's the first time in my memory that the air is not humid. The sky is as blue as I've ever seen it, but even the weak sun is not enough to melt the accumulated snow. It clings to my fur with every movement, and it's even almost enough to leave something like freezer burn on my pads. It's a bitter, miserable day to fight in. Which is why I'm not surprised when Alice looks out at the battleground, snow still untouched, and confidently announces, "It's going to happen today." Several heads turn in our direction and stiffen. No one asks why she is so certain that it will be today. Alice just tends to know things. We've all learned to not bet against her. These past few months of training, a strange bond has formed between the shifters and vampires. With only a nod between Carlisle and Sam, the 2 families split to their assigned stations. When we are alone, I turn back to my imprint. Shifting on the spot. The wind is more biting against my bare skin. "If you die, I'll kill you," Alice tells me seriously, reaching out. I clasp her hand without hesitation. "As long as you're alive to kill me," I tell her, dragging a half-hearted smile onto my lips. "I'm serious, Bella," she says, tugging me closer until we are nose to nose. I immediately get lost in her ochre eyes. "It's far too late for me to spend forever without you. All of my insides melt for this girl." I gently cup her cheek, leaning down to plant a chaste kiss against her pouting lips. "You'll see, Nieli. This battle is going to be a piece of cake. I have no intention of leaving you to face eternity without me." A low rumble draws my attention back to the trees to see Jacob step out with an expectant look. I grin, turning back to my imprint. "I'll see you out there." I give her one last lingering kiss before stepping away. I shift on the spot, trotting back over to my Ausen and affectionately bumping my head against his shoulder. He is my partner in this. "How are you doing, Seth?" I ask mentally, searching through the thoughts to find my brother. Confidence and anticipation surge through the link at me from everyone in the pack. This is going to be fun. I'm ready. No one is going to get past me, he says, determination and pride radiating from him. In concern for the newest pack member, and of the possibility of one of the newborn breaking away from the rest, it was decided that Seth would stay behind to guard the border. He's the last line of defense, and if all goes to plan, he won't even see any fighting. As the sun rises to mid-morning, we settle into our battle formations meticulously planned out. The 7 Cullens stand, still and as unmoving as stone on the far side of the field. Flanked on either side, hidden in the tree line, are the wolves in their paired team. On the right side, me and Jake, and Leah and Jard. On the left side is Quill and Embry, and Sam and Paul. The wolves will likely not be a surprise, but hopefully our numbers will be. And with attacks coming from 3 different directions, it should confuse and scatter them. It's a good plan. With everyone in their positions, an eerie silence falls over the battlegrounds. All I can hear is Jacob's breathing beside me, and the gentle whistle of wind winding through trees. It's because it's so silent that my ears pick up on the quick sound of running feet. My ears twitch and I dig my claws into the snowy earth in anticipation. "Hold," Sam says as the first of the newborns bray through the trees exactly where Alice said they would. They are moving so very fast, faster than the Cullens ever moved in practice, and I barely have time to count 21 of them before they fly. RST newborn reaches midfields and Sam snarls, "Now." Immediately, I burst into movement, not even checking to know where my partner is. I know Jake is beside me. I can see through his eyes just as easily as I can see through mine. Or anyone else from my pack. We are one. Our practice has only enhanced this. I tackle the first vampire before he knows what hit him, grabbing his arm and slinging him towards Jake's waiting teeth before immediately starting on the one trying to dart past. My mind works quicker than it ever has, split in 9 different directions as I pay attention to everything, listen to everything. With only a single thought directed at me, I duck as Jacob sails over my head, tackling a vampire that had been coming up fast behind me. In a matter of minutes, half of the army is gone. The wolves are a sufficient Well-oiled machines, and the Cullens themselves are extremely skilled in fighting. Jasper was right. 1,000 mindless soldiers is no match for 8 thinking, trained individuals. It's a massacre. I only see flashes of my imprint through others' eyes, but I can't let her distract me just yet. In one section of my pack link, I'm aware of Seth tackling a stray vampire before it can even pass the border, enthusiastically ripping the thing to pieces before looking around for more victims. As I pass another newborn into Jake's waiting jaws, cold arms brush against my side, grappling frantically for a hold as I twist, trying to dislodge it. The leech hisses and spits, not even resembling human as its smell burns my nose like snorting bleach. Before I can panic, another pale hand reaches out and rips one of the limbs from the screeching lady. My teeth quickly close on her head and her screaming is abruptly cut off. Piece of cake, huh? Alice huffs, relief and amusement twisting her lips. Her eyes widen as I tackle her to the ground, barely dodging the barreling body that was rushing her. I want to communicate, but with not being able to at the moment. I just give her a wolfish grin before turning my attention back to the fight at hand. I've wandered too far away from my teammate, but there's not much left to do. The Cullen clan and the Wolves were an efficient fighting force and only a handful remain. At this point, the remaining newborns seem to have realized their imminent defeat and are trying to run. Our side is spread far in chasing them down. As the stragglers are hunted, I start gathering pale limbs into a pile, picking up foul-smelling stone torsos between my teeth. I do my best to hold my breath. I'm glancing around, taking in the scene, when I spot a flash of red hair lurking high in a tree. Of course, how could I have forgotten? Victoria apathetically watches as my pack drags the dismembered bits of her army into a pile that will soon be lit up, like her mate was. Fury suddenly twists her beautiful face into something ugly, and I watch even from this distance as her eyes zero in on something below her with murderous intent. My heart stops, my gravity shakes, and my earth shatters as I catch sight of the head of short spikes bending down to collect a discarded leg. Alice! I scream, the sound echoing around in my skull. The only thing that escapes me, though, is an unearthly howling shriek from my vocals. Alice's head snaps up in alarm in my direction, but it's not me she needs to focus on. Why isn't she seeing? Why aren't her visions showing her? Victoria drops from her perch, directly over my imprint. A russet wolf barrels into the red head, tackling her with a sound like thunder as they roll in a mass of pale limbs and red fur. When they finally come to a stop, Jacob leaps to his feet, snow clinging to his fur as his tail wags wildly back and forth. A decapitated head dangles from his maw, held aloft by a mane of fire-red hair. Another unearthly sound escapes me as my legs carry me fast across the field, bearing down on my shocked imprint. I tackle her into the snow, shifting, with a sob racking me. Alice catches me with a startled noise. But her arms wrap around me automatically, smoothing down my spine. I'm all right, she murmurs quietly, as I burrow my nose in her neck and take gasping inhales of her scent. I'm all right, puppy. I'm all right. Jacob, my wonderful, beautiful cousin, happily trots past us on his way back towards the growing pile of dismembered bodies. Now that the threat is gone, I don't care an ounce about the battle. Only this girl in my arms who, for one terrible, tragic moment, I thought I was going to lose. I can't spend tomorrow without you, I gasp between heaving tears. Alice's arms flex around me at the reminder of what happens to a wolf without their imprint. You don't have to, she soothes quietly. It's over, and we're both safe. After a while, long after the giant bonfire reached the height of its blaze, I calmed down enough to shakily get to my feet. No matter what, though, I refuse to stop clinging to the shorter girl. Baby, please put some clothes on. Alice begs as we slowly approach the large group. IL lost them during the fight, I tell her, and then absolutely refuse to leave her side to look for them. For once, she doesn't push the matter, though she remains stiff and attempts to shield my nakedness with her body. As we pass my cousin, I reach out and clutch his large hand tightly in mine, an overwhelming feeling of gratitude in my chest. Thank you, I breathe. And he only smiles reassuringly at me before passing me my usual robe. She's family, he shrugs easily, before turning his eyes on the rest of the golden-eyed vampires, mingling and conversing in ease with the wolves over their shared victory. They all are Rosalie's smile turns absolutely devious. Trust me, if I were to spank you, you'd like it more than Esme's cookies. I gape at the vulgar tease, hardly believing that it came from the blonde's mouth, but it also immensely amuses me. Rosalie has no interest in me, and we both know it. The flirt is as harmless as our other teasing. And a new thrill of fun. But, before I can get a chance to respond, my arm is suddenly gripped in a stone hold and I'm yanked to my feet. I yelp in surprise as Alice all but drags me out the door. Alice, wait. My foot catches on a root, but Alice doesn't slow down enough for me to correct my footing, so I have to continuously scramble after her. Where are we going? I ask, absently rubbing at my ass. Because sitting on the floor so long really has made it gone numb. Alice doesn't answer except for a low rumbling coming from her chest as she drags me further into the woods. My heart thunders when she finally stops, whirling around to face me, and I gulp at the intense glare she directs at me. Oh gods, I whimper, what did I do? She shoves me into the nearest tree. And I gasp as the bark digs unforgivingly into my back. It's painful, and a surprise, but all of that falls to the peripheral as her hand reaches up to grip the hair at the back of my head and yank my face toward her. Our lips collide together harshly, and I gasp again from the force and frustration behind it. Oh, my chest wrenches, gravity moving so suddenly, so unexpectedly, that I lose knowledge and understanding of up or down. Alive or dying, pain or pleasure. I whimper as her teeth tug harshly at my lower lip, and I can only chase her as she retreats the slightest bit, because she is the only thing holding me here. The only direction I know, the only sensation I ever want to feel. I taste copper on her tongue for a moment before the small cut is healed again, but that hardly mat. RS as long as she never stops kissing me. You can't flirt with other people, she growls against my lips, and a bolt of attraction shivers down my spine and pulls in a wet heat between my legs. She is me as if she's afraid that this moment will pass without her ever telling me. You're mine. Yours, I agree helplessly, breathlessly, as her teeth drag along my neck. I bear it to her, tilting my head back till the bark of the tree bites into my skull. I'm not afraid of her teeth, her nature. I'd be happy to die if she willed it so. There is the familiar sound of ripping clothes, and I reel back. Disoriented and slightly panicked that I might have shifted in my excitement, but I hadn't. Alice holds the remains of my shirt in one hand. Without her lips on me, a sliver of reluctant reasoning returns. So, you and Jasper aren't. You stupid, wonderful, oblivious wolf, she mumbles, impatiently tugging my head back towards hers. He's my best friend. That's all he's ever been. I wouldn't be able to say no, anyway. And I might die if she stops now. I feel hot, like my skin is burning, and Alice is so cold that it's a relief. It's a conflicting relief in which she is the source of the fire, but she's also the only relief. All I want is to have as much of her skin against me as possible just to soothe this fever, but the more she touches me, the hotter I feel. I fumble with Alice's top. Fingers trembling with something other than the need to shift. Shifting is the farthest thing from my mind at the moment. I don't dare rip her shirt like she did mine. I fear she'd stop if I did. So, I shakily work the buttons, and when I pull the light fabric from her shoulders, she snatches it away as discards it carelessly. It could have landed in a mud puddle, irrevocably damaged, for all the attention she apparently cares for it. Her hands come back to my bare torso, and they're like ice, but I instinctively search, want, more of her touch as I arch into her hand as one of them impatiently push up under my sports bra. She palms the flesh before pinching the already pebbled nipple. Nieli, I murmur reverently against her lips, like a prayer, keening under her mischievous fingers. Her fingers that trace lower and lower before deliberately plunge past the waistband of my shorts. She cups me between the legs, hard, and another flash of lightning shoots straight to my core. Nieli, Nieli, Nieli. I gasp, slamming my head backwards into the tree again. I squirm, uncaring of the cuts I feel opening up on my back from scraping along the bark, and my hips move. In a jerky movement I can really control and can't quit find the motivation to stop. Alice's mouth returns to my neck, just below my jaw where I can feel my pulse fluttering just under the skin. The hand in my shorts eases its pressure, making me whine helplessly. What does Nieli mean? She murmurs in my ear as she trails a single cold finger through my wet fold. It slips through embarrassingly easily. I love you. I repeat in English, shamelessly, tugging at her hips, just desperate for her to continue. I love you, I love you, I love you. I want to cry when she pulls her hand out of my shorts and pulls her lips from my neck. But then she kneels down on the spongy forest floor and tugs my shorts from my hips in a single motion. I stare, wide-eyed, as she pulls on the back of one of my knees and guides it to rest over her shoulder. I grip the trunk of the tree, hard, to keep my balance, and then her mouth is on me in the next second, without a pause for me to mentally prepare or ask myself if this is actually happening. Fuck, 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 fuck. I cry out as she laps her tongue in long strokes all the way up to my clit and then her lips close around the butt and suck. My knees shake horribly, and I brace harder into the tree. I try to watch, but my eyes slide close without my permission and, with the darkness, the only thing I can focus on are my other senses, the pain of the bark at my back, the pounding coiling need clenching my stomach, Alice's fingers cradling my ass before sliding forward and teasing my folds before easily pushing into me with 2 fingers. Her tongue keeps sliding back and forth, all the way down to her fingers before back up to my clit. There is a heavy, heady smell replacing both of our regular scents, and it curls and gets stuck in my brain. Her fingers make the most obscene squelching and slapping sound with each pump of her fingers, and my hips keep making those little, uncertain, jerky undulations, but Alice just uses her free hand and mouth to press me more firmly into the tree. Fuck, I pant out loud when she curls her fingers. Alice, I babble, voice high and strange. Desperate. She pumps her fingers faster, curling them on each downward motion. And then she bites down lightly on my clit before pressing her tongue flat against it and making a tight circle. My walls suddenly clench around her fingers, spasming, and lights flash brightly behind my eyes as the overwhelming pleasure throws me over the last edge of sanity. It takes me several seconds to come back to myself, but when I do, I'm surprised to find myself collapsed on the ground. Leaning into the tree, Alice still sits between my legs, stroking my face now and murmuring something. I have to put in effort to focus enough to hear her. I love you, she keeps murmuring softly, punctuated each time with a fluttering kiss on my face. When she sees that I'm focused and watching her, she kisses me fully on the lips. I eagerly kiss back, chest still pounding. But it feels light and happy even as the kiss gets deeper. I tug at Alice, one hand on her hip, the other on her arm, and she wiggles around a bit, shucking off the rest of her clothes before climbing over my bent knees into my lap. After she finally helps me remove my bra, I pull her closer, pressing our breasts and stomachs together. I can feel just how wet she is as she settles all her weight and grinds down against me. The wetness slicks the sides of her thighs, caging in my hips. I want to touch you, I tell her, trailing my fingers along tops of her thighs. I've never done this before. And I don't want to think about if Alice has, right now, but I want to make her feel good, too. I want to make her feel everything. I want to be her gravity, her center of the universe, too. Then touch me, Alice whispers against my lips, rocking down into my lap even as she touches my wrist and guides my hand to her sex. Her resulting moan is almost enough to send me over the edge for a second time. Slipping my fingers into Alice is like dipping my fingers into a lukewarm cup of water. In the back of my mind I'm surprised that her sex actually is warmer than the rest of her that warms. The longer my unnatural body heat is there to affect it. It turns out that I don't need to worry much about what I'm doing, because Alice seems to take most of the control. Rising and falling over my fingers. She rides them so hard I have to brace my hand against my own body. She makes the most beautiful noises in my ear when I latch my mouth onto one of her breasts that keep bouncing in my face. And my thumb reaches up to bump against her clit with each fall over her body. A high whine slips past her lips when her walls clamp down and her hips jerk more chaotically, and I curl my fingers like she had done. When she stills against me, I pull my hand away, grasp her ass, and pull her more firmly against myself. I kiss her for all I'm worth, with all my emotions, hoping to just for a moment be her entire world like she is mine. She responds slowly, carding her fingers through my hair, and she doesn't feel like ice anymore. She feels almost warm. She definitely feels alive. I don't know how anyone could have ever thought differently. Vampires are brimming with life. We're not done yet, she murmurs, sliding her hands down my neck and over my collarbone before cupping my breasts in both of her hands. Her movements are slower now, unrushed. I didn't think we were. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop your review in comment section.